I have a mobile phone in my Dantian. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 601 Purgatory Suit Attributes. Sudang had no doubt that it was entirely possible. The heavenly sword skill was very powerful, but the Lord of the Slaughter Prison was even more powerful. Sudang had no doubt about the strength of the Lord of the Slaughter Prison who controlled the Purgatory Tower. The 12-layer heavenly sword skill was difficult, and its difficulty had scared away countless geniuses. But difficulty was relative. If you thought it was difficult, it only meant that you were not talented enough and your level was too low. How great was the Lord of the Slaughter Prison? How many lords were there in Huanquandeofu? He controlled the Purgatory Tower and existed forever. My vision was too low. I actually compared the heavenly sword skill with the Lord of the Slaughter Prison. Sudang shook his head. His swordsmanship level was only the 5-crown shuriken. He mastered the 8th style of the heavenly sword skill. According to his inference, to master the 9th style of the heavenly sword skill, one needed to master most of the mysteries of the way of death, and the power should be around the 7-crown shuriken. Mastering the 10th style, the swordsmanship would be even more powerful, but the power was limited. In the past, there were rumors that after the 10th level of the Xian Wei Xian sword technique, all of them were legends, and only appeared in the long river of time. Now, as Sudang's realm is getting higher and higher, Sudang has also slowly realized it. After the 10th level of Xian Wei Xian, one must understand the way of death, become a holy spirit, and live forever in time. Become a legend of a generation. Therefore, after the 10th level, it is the sword technique that the Holy Spirit Zuzu can master. Mastering the 10th level of sword technique, just talking about the power of the sword technique, is the level of the 8-crown shuriken and the 9-crown shuriken. Mastering the 11th level of sword technique, just the power of the sword technique is the level of the 10th crown and 11-crown shuriken. That is, the level of the Lord of the Mansion and the bull-headed shuriken. However, this refers only to the power of the sword technique. Mastering the 12th level of sword technique, that is, completely mastering the Xian Wei Xian sword technique, the power of the sword technique can be close to the 15-crown shuriken. The power of the sword technique is so strong. In addition, the divine body and divine power are strong enough. The soul is also strong enough, and the secret method is strong enough. Perhaps, it can become the 19-crown shuriken. 19-crown shuriken. What a concept. 10 palace shuriken level. They are extremely dazzling and the force is like Huanquandeofu. Why do they all admire the Xian Wei Xian sword skill? It's because it's strong enough. The peak is high enough. Fully mastering the 12-layer Xian Wei Xian sword skill. The sword skill level of the shuriken of the Yama Palace is almost at this level. Although it is said that the Xian Wei Xian sword skill is known as the best sword skill in the void, the Yama sword of the shuriken of the Yama Palace is also extraordinary. Sudang has also borrowed it. Others may not be able to achieve the same effect as the Xian Wei Xian sword skill when practicing the Yama sword. But the shuriken of the Yama Palace himself practices a Yama sword skill, and he can bring this sword skill to the extreme. Because it is his own creation and fits him perfectly, the actual combat power of the shuriken of the Yama Palace sword skill is not much different from the Xian Wei Xian sword skill. The sword skill level is the same. It depends on the divine body and secret method. There are many aspects that affect the ranking battle. Regardless, with this inference, there is no doubt that the Lord of the Slaughter Prison can master the heavenly sword technique. That lord is even superior to the 10 palaces shurikens. Mastering this sword technique is probably easy. Sudang was shocked, but he used to think that the heavenly sword technique was difficult, and even the shuriken of the Yama Palace could not teach him. However, there are people who are better than heaven, and the Lord of the Slaughter Prison is much stronger than the shuriken of the Yama Palace. After figuring it out, Sudang's eyes flashed with gratitude. He refined the purgatory artifact and specially imprinted the Deo of Death for him, so that the heavenly sword technique could be materialized. This Lord of the Slaughter Prison was thoughtful. Good sword, good sword. Sudang recognized the master. The purgatory sword in his hand revealed a dark blade light. The blade light was much more restrained, but the thin blade lightly crossed the space. Swish. The invisible blade light gathered on the blade easily cut a crack in the space. This is a void of the mountain and sea realm. If he attacks with all his strength, the space may be shaken and collapsed, but a crack will appear just by the blade. Sudong's eyes are even more joyful. The sharpness of this purgatory artifact is almost comparable to the epic sword Bloodkill. Just based on the sharpness of this divine sword, even without any sword skills, it can easily cut some holy spirits with weaker divine bodies. See if there are any other special effects. Sudong's mind was immersed in the core of the Purgatory Divine Sword, and this time there was no resistance at all. Purgatory Divine Sword. The name of the sword is to be determined. It is branded with the 10th level of the Heavenly Sword skill, the Deo of the Great Deo of the Way of Death. It comes with the special effect of cutting the soul. A ray of information came to Sudong's mind. No power increase. Sudong frowned immediately. Just like the Sky Divine Sword, the Earthly Evil Divine Sword, the Divine Sword Bloodkill, these orthodox artifacts, they all have power increase. This Purgatory Divine Sword doesn't have it. If there is a power increase, this Purgatory Divine Sword will be more terrifying. Sudong said secretly. Of course, the value will also be higher. But even so, Sudong was very satisfied. The soul-cutting special effect should be the magical effect of the material of the Purgatory artifact. The other aspects were specially branded for him by the Lord of the Slaughterhell. People should not be too greedy. Sudong held the Purgatory Longsword. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. The name of the sword is to be determined. This Purgatory Divine Sword was refined by the Lord of the Slaughterhell. I'm the first owner. Unlike the Sky Divine Sword, the Sky Divine Sword was bought by the Divine Weapon Hall, and its first owner named it the Sky Divine Sword. Its artifact message was branded as the Sky. My divine body is the Tuosh Divine Body, and this divine sword is destined to be the most suitable war sword for the Tuosh Divine Body. Let's call it Tuosh. Sudong smiled, and his fingertips ran across the blade of the Tuosh Divine Sword. The Purgatory Divine Sword was connected to his mind, and his divine blood flowed in it. The word Tuosh suddenly appeared on the black blade. In the artifact message, the name of the sword also changed to Tuosh Divine Sword. This Purgatory Divine artifact is connected to the bloodline of refining, which is extremely unique. Even if it is not used in the future, it will not be sold, and the blade contains divine blood. If the owner dies, this Purgatory Divine artifact will also lose its divinity. Sudong finally understood why he had never heard of the Purgatory Divine artifact in the Divine Weapon Hall. This kind of artifact is destined to have only one owner. Life and death are connected. The person lives with the sword, and the person dies with the sword. This is destined to be the divine sword I use for my whole life. Sudong said silently. Maybe in the future he will be stronger, and this Purgatory Divine Sword will not be suitable for him, but it will accompany him forever in the world. In fact, in the endless void, many artifacts and magic weapons are iconic. Many artifacts are famous, in addition to their own powerful divinity, but also because their owners are extremely dazzling. Such as the Book of Life and Death. It is said that the real Book of Life and Death is in the hands of the Yellow Spring Saint Lord of the Yellow Spring Deo Mansion, which is extremely mysterious and terrifying. For example, the Zeuxan Divine Sword in the long ago Void era has a deeper origin and countless legends. There are also the sun-chasing divine bow, the supremate diagram's furnace, and other super artifacts. Sudong estimated that they were all epic artifacts, perhaps even stronger. Artifacts created countless myths. The divinity of the artifacts can be seen. The Lord of the Slaughterhell refined 3 artifacts for me, 1 divine sword, and the other 2, unexpectedly refined into a pair of gloves. Sudong put away the Tuosh Divine Sword, and then looked at the gloves in the other 2 light balls. 2 gloves. This is considered a pair. A pair should be considered a divine weapon. The Lord of the Slaughterhell counted it as 2. Sudong was helpless. His mind penetrated the light ball. This time there was no sharpness of the divine sword, just a little cold. Sudong took out 2 gloves. The material of the gloves was similar to some kind of silk. There was nothing extraordinary. Blood dripping to recognize the master. Purgatory artifact gloves can stimulate the power of purgatory. A simple description. Sudong's heart moved slightly. It sounded like it increased strength. He put on the gloves. As soon as he put them on, a colorful divine light emanated from his body. The properties of the 3 purgatory artifacts set are activated, and the power is increased by 30 times. The properties disappear after removing the purgatory artifacts. Sudong was stunned. Later in chapter 3, chapter 602 famous Dao Mansion. Artifact set attributes. Sudong was stunned for a moment, then laughed happily. The artifact armor of Yang and Shuriken is called Haoming armor set, which also has artifact set attributes. My purgatory artifact also has artifact set attributes. Artifact sets have attributes, which are based on the Dao patterns contained in each artifact. There are even more powerful artifacts and legends that have individual parts combined together to form a powerful artifact. Artifact sets, a single part may be very ordinary, but once the set attributes are activated, it will immediately have a powerful effect. I just dislike the Tuosh Divine Sword for not increasing its power, but this set attribute increases its power. 3 purgatory artifact sets increase power by 30 times. The more purgatory artifacts, the more power is increased. Sudong smiled. If you want more purgatory artifacts, of course you have to hunt more purgatory life. Get more purgatory materials. The purgatory material mission of this hell-slaughtering Overlord King is very long term. If you want to get more purgatory artifacts, you have to kill purgatory lives. With the power increase of the suit attribute, without the ultimate mode, my current power increases more than 330 times. The main reason is that his divine body power increases to heaven defying. Too terrible. Sudong's mind moved, and the gloves on his hands instantly became invisible, with only a faint light covering his skin. The purgatory artifact was connected to his mind, and could change at will. With the purgatory artifact, this Earth Demon Divine Sword will be given to the 5-colored stone clone for use. It is also a top-notch divine sword. Sudong shared the core data space. Shared the Earth Demon Divine Sword with the 5-colored stone clone. The Sky Divine Sword was placed in the storage bag. Knowing how to get more artifacts, Sudong would not deliberately hunt purgatory lives for the time being. After the artifact planning was completed, Sudong immediately entered the eternal time and space to practice swordsmanship. At the same time, he realized the mystery of the Way of Death. During this period, he had indeed fallen behind in the mysteries of Taoism, and needed to improve rapidly. 3 months later, the Daofu competition would begin. I thought my divine body was strong enough. There were very few shurikens of the same level who could match me, but the battle with Beifan made me sober up. A strong divine body is only one aspect. Taoism and swordsmanship must also be improved. The Shuriken of Yama Palace specifically told me that I was the only Shuriken under his command. Sudong worked hard silently. He was the only Shuriken under the Shuriken of Yama Palace. This was an honor and a pressure. The Shuriken of Yama Palace was known as the leader of the 10 Shurikens and the first person under the Lord of Daofu. If he performed too poorly, he would be the one who lost the Shuriken of Yama Palace. When the competition came, it would also be in the Yellow Spring space. Divine artifacts and other external objects could not help. The only thing he could rely on was his own strength. My only trump card is the ultimate mode, which increases the power by 100 times. But the ultimate mode can only burst out the ultimate power 3 times. Who knows which opponent he will encounter to force him to use the ultimate mode. If he uses up the ultimate mode in one competition, what should he do in the next competition? He can't rely on external things. The only thing he can rely on is his own strength. My Taoism is too poor. At least I have to understand the Way of Death. Become a holy spirit. This is the goal Sudong set for himself. There is eternal time and space. In addition, the time flow rate in the void era of the mountain and sea world is special, so he can do it. Daofu competition. I represent the Shuriken of the Yama Palace, so I have to win the first place. There is no first in literature, and no second in martial arts. Who is willing to be a weak person? Sudong doesn't want to lose, so he must become the strongest. Buzhao Mountain, Linai Cave. He sat quietly in the cave. The Daofu competition. I'm just a newly promoted Shuriken with 5 crowns. In the words of the Shuriken of Changjiang Palace, I'm just seeing the world. The Shuriken of Changjiang Palace has many Shurikens under his command. The most special thing about him is that he has the blood of the great light god Killin, so he is highly valued by the Shuriking of Changjiang Palace. A newly promoted Shuriking, is there no hope? Sudong and I entered Buzhao Mountain together, and now he can fight Yang En. I also regarded him as a competitor in the past, but what about now? Lin Yu's eyes flashed with divine light. He felt that Sudong had left him far behind, and he also admired Sudong. But in his heart, he had a kind of unwillingness to admit defeat. My divine body and blood are extraordinary, but now Sudong is ahead. I'm not diligent enough. Lin Yu stood up. From today, I will enter the demon god cave to temper my divine body. I will not come out for less than 3 months. Tempering the divine body. It's easy to say, but how many Shurikings have been scared by the word temper? Ordinary mortals exercise their bodies. How many people can stick to the high intensity physical training every day? Moreover, the divine body training in the demon god cave is extremely painful, and not many Shurikings can stick to it. Huangquan Daofu, Liu Daoyuan. A small world. This world is home to terrible giant beasts, and a nimble figure is running around in it. Boom. The figure stretched out his palm and easily tore a terrifying giant beast apart. His divine body was not tall, just less than 2 meters, and he was like an ant in front of the giant beast. But he burst out with extremely terrifying power. Blood was scattered. Whoosh. A pretty figure flew to his side. Brother Shenhu, you are so powerful. That giant beast has the power of a 6-crown Shuriking, and you easily tore it apart. The pretty figure has bright eyes and white teeth, and has a unique aura. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. My Taoism and claw method are confirmed, plus the guidance given to me by my master. It is normal to make rapid progress. The nimble figure smiled. My advantage is the Dharma. In terms of Dharma, only Kun Yi from Daodi gives me pressure. The others are not worth mentioning. Yesterday, Master also admonished us and asked us to look at the Shuriking over at Buzhao Mountain, saying how talented he is, how powerful his divine body is. The girl frowned slightly. She is also a Shuriking in Liu Daoyuan, but her strength is much worse. You mean Sudong? Yes, that's Sudong. The young Shuriking nodded repeatedly. Humph. I've seen his swordsmanship, and it's very ordinary. So what if his divine body is strong? Not a concern. The nimble figure shook his head. However, Sudong is a famous genius in Daofu recently. Geniuses like that have a terrifyingly fast progress in cultivation. The fox god Shuriking did not admit it, but he knew it in his heart. The strong divine body is also a symbol of strength. Watch. See how I defeat him. The fox god Shuriking's eyes flashed fiercely. In Daodu of Huangquan Daofu. Sudong, a powerful Shuriking with silver hair and a mysterious river floating around him sat cross-legged there. He squinted his eyes. A blood-stained divine sword floated out of the river. The swordsmanship is far inferior to mine, but the divine body is indeed terrifying. If we fight, we will have to spend more effort. The Mohei Shuriking said silently. The same Daodu, a big world. The big world in the Daodu is divided into small world areas, and these big worlds are controlled by the Huangquan Daofu. There are mortals and gods among them. There are even many mortals. Many kings of Daodu are selected from these mortals. In a small world, a country dominated by mortals, a young man with long hair and a cloth robe is sitting in a restaurant. His face is thin, with messy beards at the corners of his mouth, and his whole body exudes an extremely decadent atmosphere. Zio has reincarnated again. This is the 9th time, and the original life mark is almost gone. If you don't become a god, there is really no way to revive after death. There was sadness in his eyes. He murmured. Suddenly, a talisman appeared in his hand, and the sadness in his eyes faded away instantly, and a divine light flashed. Sudong? Such a terrifying divine body. It's amazing, but the first place in the Daofu competition has nothing to do with you. Go and fight for the second place. Chapter 603, Divine Item, Sansheng Talisman. Kunai Shuriking, the most heaven-defying and evil genius that has appeared in Daodu in the past 10 million years, has an exaggerated and terrifying talent for Taoism, and is the most terrifying among the 5 crown Shurikings. In the Daofu competition, He is the most popular, and many dominant kings think that he has the greatest chance of getting the first place. However, other Shura kings are working hard to practice, but this Kunai Shura king is different. He still spends his days drinking in this small world. He was born in a humble family. He had a wife when he was a mortal. Later, before he became a god, his wife died. This Kunai Shura king has since embarked on the path of seeking to resurrect his wife. Knowing that Huanquandeofu has a book of life and death, he tried every means to join Huanquandeofu. However, even if he became a Shura king, he could not resurrect his wife, because his wife had become another new life since her death. When she was reincarnated again, and entered another small world, she had almost completely erased the memory of her previous life. Mortals are different from gods. Even if gods die, as long as their true spirits are immortal, they can be resurrected, even if they fall into reincarnation. But when mortals die, they are really dead. How long can ordinary people live? 100 years of memory is just a fragment of the long life of gods. Gods can easily create a body, but those who want to revive ordinary people just want to repeat that fragment of memory. Kunai Shura king is extremely talented. Many goddesses in Deodo have shown their affection to him, and some even actively pursue him, because everyone knows. In addition to being infatuated, Kunai Shura king's talent is too high and too exaggerated. Others are immersed in cultivation and practice hard, but they can't compare to his casual practice for a few days. Such a person, as long as he doesn't fall in the process of growth, is now a celebrity in Huanquandeofu, and is destined to become a giant in the end. However, Kunai Shura king only has his dead wife in his heart, so naturally no one can really get close to him. Master said that the first place in the Deofu competition will be given a divine object. Divine objects are born naturally and are extremely strange, like black lightning clouds. I'll trade the divine object for an emperor's divine pill. The divine pill has infinite mysteries. I'll let Zia take it in her 9th life, and she will definitely be able to awaken her past life memories. The 9 lives of memory will be combined into one, and that's Zia. He would try every life of his wife, and he had succeeded before, but at that time his wife's personality was more formed. The memories of the two souls collided. He almost went mad, and finally he erased his wife's memory to return to normal. Since then, he has never dared to take risks casually. But the Emperor's divine pill is a top-notch divine pill, and the level of the dominant king will pay attention to it. Let Yathansu take it, and it may have miraculous effects. So he must win the first place in this Deofu competition. In the Inno Palace in the Yellow Spring space, many powerful Shura kings sat on the tall thrones, looking at the battle scene in front of them. The scene was the battle between Sudang and Yang and Shura king. The divine body is powerful. Is the divine body so strong? Everyone was amazed. It should be some secret method that was used. The burst is strong, and it can't last too long. A strong man said with a venomous eye and incomparable certainty. Even if he used the secret method, just talking about this kind of divine body, this Deofu competition, this Sudang Shura king, can at least be in the top 10. Well, top 10 is no problem. They gathered here. They manage the intelligence of many geniuses in Huanquandeofu. All the geniuses in Liudeoyuan, Deodu, and Busao Mountain will pay attention. Seeing more monsters and invincibles, naturally, their vision is higher. Sudang's divine body is strong and dazzling, but to say that he is the strongest? Still a little short. His understanding of Taoism is too poor. Heavenly sword method, at least practice to the 9th level, and then talk about impacting the top 3. The advantages are obvious, and the weaknesses are also extremely obvious. Compared with those real monsters and invincible Shura kings, Sudang is still a little worse. So they judge that, if Sudang's strength is just like this, then he can only rank in the top 10 at most. Master, Thunderfire Shura king, is here to visit. Sudang, who was practicing in the eternal space, received the voice transmission from the goddess Mingjing. Sudang was in seclusion for cultivation, so ordinary people naturally could not disturb him. However, Sudang had deliberately instructed that, if the Shura kings such as Li Ho and Yundao came to him, he should inform them in time. Li Ho came to visit me. Sudang came out of the eternal time and space, with a flash of divine light in his eyes, and a hint of confusion. But he shook his head immediately. He walked out of his cave room. In the hall of the Sword Tower Palace, Lee Ho Shuriken was sitting there, with a faint divine light wrapped around his body. Swordsman. Seeing Sudong's figure, Lee Ho Shuriken stood up with a smile on his face. Why did you think of looking for me today? Sudong smiled. Just broke through. I'm in a good mood, so I came to share with you. Lee Ho Shuriken grinned. Breakthrough? Sudong was startled. Then he looked at Lee Ho Shuriken with a little surprise. Did the Taoism break through? Yes. Lee Ho Shuriken smiled, waved his hand, and a cluster of dark red flames appeared in his palm. The dark red flames swayed and rose, and the temperature of the entire palace rose a lot when it appeared. Sudong's eyes narrowed slightly. He could naturally feel the power contained in the flame. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Lee Ho is extremely good at fire magic. He can become Shuriken in a short time. His achievements in fire magic are indeed extraordinary. Sudong said secretly, and then clasped his fists and smiled. Congratulations, with your current attainments in fire magic, even if you can't beat that Meng Shuriken, you won't be so embarrassed by being suppressed. That Meng is nothing. I've said it before. Give me 10 years and abuse him at will. Lee Ho Shuriken grinned. He was extremely confident in his strength. Sudong nodded slightly. He was also happy for Lee Ho Shuriken. Swordsman. The Daofu competition is coming soon. Are you confident? I heard from the gossip that there are several ruthless people in Daodu and Daoyuan this time. Their strength is amazing. Lee Ho Shuriken said. Sudong was slightly surprised and looked at Lee Ho Shuriken. You know all this information? Daodu and Daoyuan. He only heard some of it from the Shuriken of Yama Palace. In order to relieve him of pressure, the Shuriken of Yama Palace did not say much about the specific information. Lee Ho actually has these gossips. I have a special relationship. Lee Ho Shuriken smiled mysteriously. Sudong could only smile and nod. Just do your best. Well, I believe in you. I have never seen you lose. Lee Ho Shuriken smiled. He admired and worshipped Sudong from the bottom of his heart. Then he took out a strange item from his arms. The item was similar to an oracle bone, and there were cracks on the surface. This is for you. He put the oracle bone on the table. What is this? Sudong looked over, his eyes flashed, and then he was slightly surprised. He felt the rich sacred breath contained in the oracle bone. Sacred object? Sudong was surprised. Sacred objects, such as black lightning clouds, are sacred objects, and some strange objects may also be sacred objects. This oracle bone is also a sacred object. The value of the divine object is endless. Even the level of the 10 palaces Shurikens would have to pay attention to it. Lei Huo actually took out a divine object casually. Sudong blinked. Lei Huo Shuriken. In the past, he was a Lei Huo celestial being. His background was extraordinary in the world, but now he is much worse than Sudong. Naturally, it is impossible for him to own a divine object. This is the 3 Lives Talisman, which contains 3 lives. Each life can help you understand the mystery of life and death. Of course, you experience a lifetime in it, while the outside world is only a moment or a few days. It is a first-class divine object for cultivation. Lei Huo Shuriken introduced. Sudong was shocked. 3 Lives Talisman? He had heard that there was a divine artifact called the 3 Lives Stone in ancient times, which had a magical effect that shook the world. This 3 Lives Talisman. It seems to have some origin with the 3 Lives Stone. Experiencing 3 lives. That is 3 lives and 3 worlds. How shocking. Chapter 604. A cycle of life and death. Every time you experience a life, you will naturally have a new understanding of life. It would be strange if you didn't make progress in the way of life and death. Moreover, a life experience in the 3 Lives Talisman only lasted a moment in the outside world. This is even more terrifying than eternal time and space. Sudong said secretly. This divine object is too precious. Didn't I tell you that I have a great opportunity? I can become a holy spirit, a Shuriken, and even improve my Taoism in a short time. This 3 Lives Talisman has helped me a lot. I have used it twice in 3 lives. There is only one last time left. I hope it can help you. Thunderfire Shuriken smiled. This? Sudong was speechless. He wanted to ask Lei Huo where such a divine object came from, but the latter's character would naturally say it if he could. If he didn't say it, it would be bad for him to ask. This divine object is too valuable, I can't accept it. Sudong refused directly. He has enough treasures and opportunities. Although 3 months is a bit tight, he is still confident that his swordsmanship can go further. Thunderfire Shuriken may have really soared to the sky and had a great opportunity, but no matter how great the opportunity is, this is still a divine object. Even Yang En Shuriken, who is rich and powerful, dare not give away divine objects casually. It's just a thing, it's nothing. Thunderfire Shuriken waved his hand directly. Swordsman, as long as you can win the first place for our Buzzhao Mountain, that will be glorious. My brother, Li Huo, is the first person in the Dao Fu 5 Crown Shuriken. Haha. Thunderfire Shuriken was very happy. He and Sudong have been together since the King Battle of Huangquan Road. At that time, he had benefited a lot from Sudong. Now that they have arrived at Buzzhao Mountain, their friendship has deepened. Li Huo is happy to see Sudong's strength getting stronger and stronger. I won't talk to you anymore. I have to accompany Yuling to Myoshu Peak. Let's make an appointment later. Thunderfire Shuriken turned around in a chic manner. He didn't give Sudong a chance to refuse again. Sudong watched Thunderfire Shuriken fly out of the Sword Tower Temple directly. Still flying out, afraid that he would not accept it? Sudong didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but his heart was still slightly warm. Thank you, he said silently. Then he reached out and picked up the Sansheng talisman on the table. The patterns on the surface of the Sansheng talisman kept changing. The oracle bone that seemed to be broken at any time exuded an ancient and vicissitudes of life. In the cracks, there were faint traces of the divine manifestation of the great Dao. And there were traces of Dao inside the entire oracle bone that turned into flowing light. Although this divine object Sansheng talisman does not have the magical effect of traveling through the void of time like the black electric cloud, but in terms of value, for the practitioners of the gods, this Sansheng talisman is more valuable. It is a great adventure and a great opportunity. I originally thought that I would practice Taoism hard for 3 months in the eternal time and space. If I can finally break through the Holy Spirit, I will break through the Holy Spirit. If I can't become a Holy Spirit, I will also improve my swordsmanship to a higher level. Sudong said silently. He has many adventures, and he believes that his talent for swordsmanship is not low. In addition, he has used the breath of purgatory many times to strengthen his talent and understanding. It would be ridiculous if he didn't have confidence. But he has adventures, and others have adventures too. He can use the breath of purgatory to strengthen his innate understanding, and so can others. In fact, some people's adventures are more outrageous than his, such as the Thunderfire Shuriken. This 3-life talisman can let people experience a life. We must grasp it well. Sudong's mind penetrated into the 3-life talisman. Suddenly, he felt an extremely vast and obscure breath surrounding his soul, and then many messages came one after another. The 3-life talisman has 3000 worlds. Behind each world, there are great benefits that lead to the great Dao, but the cycle of life and death is inevitable. No matter how much achievement you get in the 3-life talisman, you will eventually fall into reincarnation and return to yourself. These messages were transmitted to Sudong's mind. Sudong's eyes suddenly brightened. There are benefits, but it also depends on ability. Without ability, the benefits will not be obtained, even if they are right in front of you. The real benefit is the perception of Tao and the improvement of realm. Others cannot be brought out. A life in the 3-life talisman. It's just a moment in the outside world. Sudong smiled. Before entering the 3-life talisman, it is best to improve the Taoism to a bottleneck, and the skills to shackles. There is also such a warning in the message of the 3-life talisman. Sudong understood. After all, a life in the 3 lives talisman should also be short. First, he should improve to the point where he can no longer improve in the outside world, and then go to the 3 lives talisman to improve. Then I will first practice Taoism and swordsmanship to the extreme in the eternal time and space. Sudong had a clear plan on how to enter the 3 lives talisman for cultivation. From this day on, Sudong practiced swordsmanship in the eternal time and space, and Taoism became more vigorous. In the past, he was seeking a breakthrough, but now he is finding his own shackles. With the change of ideas, Sudong felt that his cultivation speed was increasing day by day, much faster than before. Under the time of the eternal time and space, which was slowed down by 100 times. Sudong practiced for 201 days. His swordsmanship reached a bottleneck. On this day, Sudong walked out of the sword tower. Today is the day when the Shuriken of the Yama Palace preaches, and I'm in Buzzhow Mountain. Naturally, I have to go to listen. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. Sudong was dressed in white, and after changing into the bright light robe, his black robe also turned into a white robe. His purgatory divine sword was connected by blood, and it was dormant in the divine body. A pair of purgatory divine gloves also became invisible. My swordsmanship has reached a bottleneck. I have also improved to the extreme that I can improve now, but there is still some gap in the shackles of converting Taoism into swordsmanship. It is not time to use the 3-life talisman. Sudong smiled. He flew all the way to the palace of the preaching peak. The star god tree in the palace was still the same. Sudong recalled that he had worshipped under the command of the Shuriken of the Yama Palace. This was only the second time he came to listen to the Shuriken of the Yama Palace preaching. However, he made a lot of progress every time he listened to the Shuriken of the Yama Palace preaching. Swordsman? The Silverblade Shuriken came early. When he saw Sudong, he was surprised. He hurried over. Silverblade, you also come to listen to the Shuriken of the Yama Palace preaching. Sudong smiled. I also practice swordsmanship. In the entire Buzzhow Mountain, anyone who uses a sword will be willing to miss the preaching of the Shuriken of the Yama Palace. The Silverblade transmitted the voice. Sudong nodded slightly. The Shuriken of Yama Palace had already reached a certain extreme in swordsmanship. Sudong guessed that, even if he had achieved the great accomplishment of Shianwaishan swordsmanship, he would be on par with the Shuriken of Yama Palace. His realm was extremely high. There were many Shurikens in the Palace of Lecture Peak, including kings and Shurikens. There were even Shurikens with 7 crowns, 8 crowns, and 9 crowns. In fact, many Shurikens with a rank of 6 crowns were keen on carrying out missions, or were sent by the Dao Mansion to manage the void, or fight with the lives of purgatory. They all made little progress on Mount Buzzhow, and their talents had reached their limits. And those with 7 crowns and above were still in Mount Buzzhow. Those in places like Daodu and Liudaoyuan all had great potential and extraordinary talents, and could still make further progress. They were all extremely strong. 3 saints, that's Sudong. Look, that Sudong is here. He was the one who defeated the 6 saints. He's so glorious. Even the little guy Yang lost to him. One after another looked over. Those powerful 7 crown and 8 crown Shurikens, each of whom has been practicing for thousands of years, look at Sudong and others like children. Sudong. He is quite ruthless. I asked Shuanglang to teach him a lesson, and Shuanglang was frightened. Yang lost to him. On a stone seat at the front of the preaching hall, a tall Shuriken wearing a fiery red divine armor and a bright red cloak on his back looked at him. His eyes were sharp. I'm not in good condition today. I have a backache, so I will only update twice. Thanks to the book friend 42,682 boss for the reward. Danki knows that someone will definitely say that Danki has successfully written 2 chapters again. Haha. Chapter 605, The 3 Saints Shuriken. Sudong and Silverblade Celestial God sat on a row of stone seats, and his heart moved slightly. He could easily feel the gazes. It was normal to look at them with ordinary eyes. But the gazes with hostility were naturally very prominent. Hostile to me? Sudong looked up in confusion. At a glance, he saw the Shuriken sitting there, tall and burly, wearing a fiery red divine armor, and a red cloak hanging behind him. 7 crown Shuriken. Sudong's eyes were calm, and he looked at the Shuriken unwaveringly. It's the 3 Saints Shuriken. The voice of Silverblade Shuriken sounded. The 3 Saints? Sudong was puzzled. There were so many powerful Shurikens in Buzzhow Mountain. Who was this 3 Saints? But then his heart moved. Although he didn't know the 3 Saints, he knew the 6 Saints. The 6 Saints Shuriken was defeated by him. The 3 Saints Shuriken had such an unfriendly look. Silverblade also transmitted the message about the 3 Saints Shuriken. He was gifted, but he was very protective of his shortcomings. The six saints Shuriking could tell the origin by hearing the Taoist name. You defeated the six saints, but the three saints might cause you trouble. Yandao reminded carefully. Sudong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No wonder the six saints, Meng and other Shurikings are so arrogant. It's because they have these messy people backing them up. But since he dared to take action, he naturally wouldn't care about others. 7 Crown Shuriking? This is Mount Buzzhao. Who dares to take action easily? Swordsman. A bold voice sounded. Sudong turned his head to look. Yang En, the Shuriking with an invisible divine armor and light surrounding him, strode over. He had a majestic aura and was no less high profile than some Shurikings with 7 or 8 crowns. He strode over and said with a smile, I heard many Shurikings talking about you when I just came in. You are really glorious. Someone is eyeing you. His eyes turned. The 3 saints. Humph. So what about the 7 Crown Shuriking? His strength is just average in the 7 Crown Shuriking circle. When he was the 5 Crown Shuriking, you and I could beat him. Yang and Shuriking glared back at the 3 saints Shuriking. The 3 saints Shuriking frowned, then retracted his gaze. He no longer stared at Sudong coldly. Yang and Shuriking is the biological son of Taishan Hall Shuriking. He can't compare with him in terms of status. He dared to express his dissatisfaction with Sudong, but didn't want to make enemies with Yang En. Thank you. Sudong clasped his fists towards Yang En. Although he was not afraid, the look of the 3 saints made him uncomfortable. It's a small matter. Today, the Shuriking of Yamahall is giving a sermon, and it's your home court. These 3 saints dare not do anything, even if they are ignorant of the times. Yang En Shuriking smiled. He took the initiative to make friends with Sudong. Then he looked around. When the Shuriking of Yamahall preached, all the people who came were experts in using swords. The higher the level of swordsmanship, the more people came to listen to the preaching. Look, how many kings are there? Sudong and the Silver Sword Shuriking glanced casually. There seemed to be less than 10 kings in the whole preaching hall. They are all powerful Shurikings. The higher the level of swordsmanship, the more people come to listen to the preaching, because they are stuck in a bottleneck and can't go any further. They all hope to get guidance. Yang En smiled. Sudong nodded slightly. Indeed, there were many Shurikings with 5 crowns and above. There were even Shurikings with 9 or 10 crowns sitting quietly in the distance. When he was a king, this was the second time he came to listen to the preaching, except for the first time to express respect. Why? Because his swordsmanship did not reach a bottleneck in the past. Without doubts, he naturally did not need to seek guidance. But as his swordsmanship improved, he now had shackles and confusion in his heart, so he naturally came to find a way to break through. Sudong, your swordsmanship is progressing fast enough, and you are practicing the Cheyenne Waishan swordsmanship. Although it is extremely difficult, it can reach the peak. If you come to listen more, you will progress faster. I'm different. I'm practicing a fragment of swordsmanship, and the future is bleak. Yang and Shuriking sighed. A fragment? Sudong was silent. At the same time, he remembered that Yang and Shuriking's swordsmanship was indeed weird, but the starting point was very high. Go your own swordsmanship path, and the future will be broader and farther. Sudong looked at Yang and Shuriking. No matter how high the level of swordsmanship is, it is created by predecessors. The best is the one that suits you. No matter how powerful the swordsmanship you practice, you are standing on the shoulders of your predecessors. Only by creating it yourself can it be the most suitable for you, such as the Shuriking of the Yama Palace, who created the Yama sword, which is as powerful as the Cheyenne Waishan swordsmanship. If the Shuriking of the Yama Palace learns other swordsmanship, can he achieve what he has today? It's hard to say. Haha, yes. That's why I keep working hard, Sudong. Remember, I lost to you last time, not because of your swordsmanship. Next time, my swordsmanship will be stronger, and my divine body will be even better. Let's have another competition. You can't hide then. Yang and Zhuo Wang said with a smile. Sudong also smiled and nodded. Definitely. Those who are obsessed with swordsmanship have a kind of obsession, especially those like Yang and Zhuo Wang, whose swordsmanship is extended from a fragment and created by themselves. from weak to strong. Accumulating little by little is to constantly discover weaknesses, to improve, and then become stronger. So, no matter how many times you lose, it doesn't matter, you will eventually suppress all swordsmanship. When the loser no longer loses, that is success. You will definitely stand at the top. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. Sylvanite Ziulo Wang listened to what Yang En Ziulo Wang said silently, and he was in awe at the moment. In the past, I only heard that Yang En, the Shuriken, was rich and powerful. I'm afraid everyone underestimated him. Once in contact, I realized that the rumors were not credible. A corner in front of the preaching hall. Sansheng, Yang En seems to have a good relationship with Sudang. You are also magnanimous, forget it. There were two companions besides Sansheng Shuriken. They had known each other for many years, and were also friends. Knowing Sansheng Shuriken's protective nature, they persuaded him. It is better to resolve the enemy than to make it. Sudang is also a first-class genius Shuriken in the Taoist palace. There is no need to make a big deal. Don't worry, I know what's going on. Sansheng Shuriken, wearing a fiery red divine armor, narrowed his eyes. Yang En? He just relied on the Shuriken of Taishan Hall. So brainless. He lost the ring battle, but he still had the nerve to be friends with Sudang. Sudang is a Shuriken under the command of the Shuriken of Yama Palace, and he is also famous for his swordsmanship. What's wrong with fellow practitioners exchanging insights and discussing swordsmanship? The three saints Shuriken smiled. You are not allowed to attack at will in Buzzhao Mountain? He, the Seven Crowns Shuriken, can't do anything to Sudang? What a joke. He is going to teach Sudang a lesson today. You. The two Shurikens beside him shook their heads helplessly. The three saints Shurikens are famous for their stubborn personalities. And with their strength at this point, who is not determined and unshakable? It is impossible to persuade them. Here he comes. The Shuriken of Yama Palace is here. Suddenly, the entire preaching hall fell into silence, and many figures stood up respectfully, including Sudang. Looking at the sky above the hall, time and space seemed to condense, and slowly emerged the appearance of a cold man with black hair and black eyes. Greetings to His Majesty the Shuriken of Yama Palace. Many Shurikens in the preaching hall bowed respectfully at the same time. HMM. The Shuriken of Yama Hall had a grim expression on his face. He only deliberately glanced at Sudang in the seat below, and then began to preach. Today, I will explain two sword techniques. The first one is the 9th sword technique of the 12 layers of heaven. The Shuriken of Yama Hall's cold voice resounded throughout the preaching hall. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they immediately listened attentively. Even the three saints Shurikens listened attentively. Another chapter. Woo la la. Danki thanks the boss who is practicing Luna for the reward. I'm practicing Leela, and the infinite combo under the moon is a show. Come on. Without further ado, I will start with 3 chapters today. Chapter 606. Let's discuss. The 12-layer heavenly sword method represents a certain avenue in swordsmanship. It was created by the great Emperor Xian Qi Rinsheng, and was created by the sword masters of the Endless Era. If the secret book of Taoism is a result of the predecessors, then learning the 12-layer heavenly sword method is undoubtedly standing on the shoulders of giants. The 9th layer of the heavenly sword method is the same level as my 13 sword style, which will help me to make further progress. A 10-crown Shuriken listened attentively. If you master one method, you can master 100 methods. There is a reference value between various sword methods. The 9th layer? Sudang's eyes lit up. He is now stuck at the 8th layer. If he can make further progress in swordsmanship, he will reach the 9th layer. The Shuriken of the Yama Palace explained the heavenly sword method, and it happened to be the 9th layer. Sudang was secretly grateful in his heart. He didn't know whether the king of the Yama Palace Zulu was intentional or coincidental, so he listened carefully. The 9th layer of the heavenly sword method covers the application of most of the mysteries of the way of death. Swordsmanship is a skill, and Taoism is the foundation. The Shuriken of the Yama Palace pointed forward. Suddenly, a void picture appeared in the void above the preaching hall. In the picture, there were clusters of nebulae, and each cluster of nebulae seemed to be the condensation of the Dao. The way of death should be like this. The Shuriken of the Yama Hall waved his hand casually, and those nebulae were mobilized layer by layer, like obedient elves, containing the incomparable mystery of order and rules, and then the void condensed into a series of knife lights. Awesome. Sudong was stunned. In terms of the understanding of the Dao, he was still far behind. The King of Yama and the King of Shura were the ones who had a bird's eye view, and could mobilize the origin of the Way of Death with just a wave of his hand. This Yang and Shuriken narrowed his eyes slightly, and the Sylvan Knife Shuriken was even more confused. Yang and Shuriken's swordsmanship was relatively high, and he had read many methods, drawing inferences from one instance to another. Have you ever eaten pork, or seen a pig run? Naturally, you can understand a little bit. Silver Knife is different. His Dao and sword realms were far behind, and he could only see the most superficial things, but he still felt that this sword was extremely terrifying to the extreme. Of course, the kings and some weaker Shurikens were completely enlightened. That was the 9th level of Shion sword. It looked powerful. Everyone was excited. The same sword. Everyone had different perceptions, different gains. Sudong was completely immersed in this sword. He only now knew that the origin of the Way of Death, that the 9th level sword technique matched was this part. The complete Dao of the Way of Death was extremely magnificent, and it was the great Dao, but the 9th level sword technique only stimulated part of the Dao. What was this part of the Dao? Without guidance, perhaps Sudong could figure it out for a while. But now there was guidance. He suddenly became clear in his mind. This sword, it turned out to be like this. Sudong's accumulation and perception in the eternal time and space during this period suddenly inspired like a spring, and in the core data space, he practiced the perception of sword techniques one by one. Sudong, he's listening so seriously. He looks like he's completely immersed in it. The Tashura kings beside the 3 saints noticed the change in Sudong's expression. Sudong is practicing the heavenly sword technique. This Shuriken of Yama Palace deliberately explained the 9th level. Maybe that's the bottleneck that's holding Sudong back now. The Shuriken of the 3 saints narrowed his eyes. Sudong has been trapped in the void of the 2 worlds galaxies during this period. Although his divine body has become incredibly strong, after experiencing the God Blood Tower, his Taoism and swordsmanship have fallen behind. The Shuriken of Yama Palace thought to himself, no matter how talented a person is, he has limited energy and it's impossible to improve in all aspects. Having also seen the battle between Sudong and Yang, he clearly understood where Sudong's flaws were, and naturally tried to help Sudong improve. The Shuriken of Yama Palace explained this move very clearly. Not only was the analysis of Taoism explained thoroughly, but the swordsmanship was also explained from the root. Many Shurikens exclaimed that they had gained a lot. In the past, when I listened to the Yama Palace Shuriken's preaching, he would summarize it in just a few words, but today he tells it in such detail. Yang and Shuriken whispered to Sudong. Sudong, everyone present today is thanks to you. The preaching of the 10 Palace Shurikens is also a benefit arranged by the Daofu. They are not obliged to dispel the doubts of these Shurikens in detail, so it is naturally very rough. How much they can gain depends on personal chance. Sudong smiled. He did not send a message, but still listened carefully. The Yama Palace Shuriken treats people coldly, but there is nothing to say about him. After explaining the 9th level of the Heaven Beyond Heaven, the Yama Palace Shuriken explained another Yama sword. This style is even more profound than the 9th level of the Heaven Beyond Heaven. If the Heaven Beyond Heaven sword method is like a domineering king, then the Yama sword method is more like a cold killing god. No hesitation, no confusion. Pure to the extreme killing intent. Completely explain the other direction of the origin of the Way of Death. I also got the detailed explanation of the 2nd volume of Yama's knife. This knife is the heart-slaying style among the 36 styles of Yama's knife. Sudong's heart moved slightly. This book was recently updated in update. Only when the knife skills are verified with each other can they improve quickly, and Yama's knife is also a top knife skill. He just got started late, so his practice is not as profound as the Shion knife skill. But today, he saw the King of Shura in Yama Palace perform this knife, the heart-slaying style. The killing intent that was condensed to the extreme made Sudong's eyes suddenly brighten. I remember that the first time he saw Yama's knife, He could only open his eyes. The murderer Sora was too compelling. The core of this knife skill is killing, unstoppable killing. The heart-slaying style. It is also the top 3 killing styles in Yama's knife. Sudan quickly closed his eyes and carefully comprehended it. In the core data space, the knife flashed again and again, as if it was going to be imprinted in his mind. But suddenly the crowd was in an uproar. Sudan opened his eyes. Many Shurikens in the hall sent off the Shuriken of Yama Hall with great respect and admiration. The Shuriken of Yama Hall glanced at Sudan. Sudan bowed again. The Shuriken of Yama Hall disappeared in the preaching hall. Ha, I have gained a lot. Yang and Shuriken laughed. I didn't gain much. If the Shuriken of Yama Hall could explain a sword technique that combines a form with a body technique, that would be perfect. Silverblade Shuriken shook his head. His sword technique is different. It was originally created by the Saint Lord of Jiuhua Mountain. At the beginning, he was weak, and the Holy Spirit Zuzu of Jiuhua Mountain was naturally superior. This sword technique is also very mysterious. But now, Silverblade's strength is equal to that of the Saint Lord of Jiuhua Mountain. Naturally, this sword technique has many flaws, which need Silverblade to correct and improve. The combination of sword technique and body technique is indeed the way. Sudan nodded in approval. He used his Dharmakaya blade wings of the King of 10,000 Swords, with the help of the 10,000 things in the universe, to cross space and time. It was a combination of body skills and sword skills. They were discussing with each other. At this time, a heat wave came from a distance. Sudan frowned, then turned his head to look. He happened to see the 3 Saints Shuriken flying close. The 3 Saints Shuriken's fiery red armor contained high temperature of flames. Although it was not deliberately stimulated, heat waves rolled everywhere wherever it passed. This was not the direction to leave the preaching hall. The 3 Saints Shuriken was naturally heading towards Sudan. 3 Saints, what are you going to do? Yang and Shuriken also frowned and spoke first. Sudan sat on the stone seat and looked at the 3 Saints Shuriken in front of him. The red cape behind the 3 Saints Shuriken fluttered, and he laughed out loud. Sudan, I know you are under the command of the Shuriken of Yama Palace, so you must have practiced the Yama sword. What a coincidence, I also practice the Yama sword, so how about you, and I'll learn from each other about the Yama sword. Ah. Another chapter of nonsense. Fortunately there is a 3rd chapter, otherwise Danki would be scolded to death. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 607. Demon Slaying Style, God Chasing Style. 3 Saints. You, a 7-crown Shuriken, actually want to compete with Sudan in swordsmanship. Isn't it shameful? If you have the ability, go compete with the Lord of the Mansion. Yang and Shuriken sneered. The Lord of the Mansion is the top powerhouse among the 10-crown Shurikens, with outstanding strength and a good reputation. It's just a swordsmanship competition. It's not a competition. There is only one person under the command of the Shuriken of the Yama Palace. You don't dare to do this? 3 Saints Shuriken frowned. Sudan smiled when he heard it. He stopped Yang and Shuriken who was about to speak. Of course it's good. Only by competing and verifying can we make progress. Sudan smiled. Competing with a strong person who practices the same swordsmanship, especially when the other party is a Shuriken who is stronger than himself, no matter what others think, Sudan thinks it is a rare opportunity. If he takes the initiative to find another powerful Shuriken to compete, will he be willing to lower his status to accompany him? Anyway, if other weak Shurikens, who are not familiar with him, come to compete with him, he is afraid that he will refuse 80% of the time. Learning from each other is actually a way of communication, to find out one's own shortcomings and seek greater progress. It just so happened that Yamadeo had some insights. He was worried that there was no one to learn from him. Haha, that's bold. Let's use our divine power to condense the lore on this preaching peak. I will also use the same divine power as you. The rough-looking 3 Saints Shuriken laughed immediately. He said excitedly, I didn't expect that Sudan was so crazy that he agreed so easily. He also thought that if Sudang didn't agree, he would just let it go. In the future, it would be spread out that Sudang was a coward and didn't even dare to learn from him. Since he agreed, he would teach Sudang a lesson. Then he took the lead and strode out of the hall. Sudang sent a message to let Yin Dao and Yang and Shuriking rest assured, and then he also walked out of the preaching hall. There were many Shurikings in the preaching hall. There were so many people and everyone looked over who didn't know Sudang, and everyone knew the three saints Shuriking. The three saints are too protective of their shortcomings. It's just a fight to defeat the six saints. So you have no temperament? Really? There were many discussions, and the ones being discussed were all the 7 crown and 8 crown Shurikings, all at the same level as the three saints. At the same level, they naturally don't like the big bullying the small. A 7 crown Shuriking looking for a 5 crown Shuriking to spar with. Their discussions were not concealed, and they fell into the ears of the three saints, and his face was also ugly, but everything was to vent the anger of the 6 saints, so he didn't care about anything else. As long as he could suppress Sudang's arrogance, it would be fine. The two of them flew to 2 peaks of the same height on the preaching peak, 100 feet apart. It's settled. We will only talk about the Yama swordsmanship. I'm not bullying you. The three saints Shuriking spoke. The voice resounded throughout the preaching peak. Yang and Shuriking sneered, and there were many powerful Shurikings who also sneered. The three saints still wanted to defend themselves. Okay. Sudang nodded, looking forward to it. Haha, I'm a bit stupid. I've practiced the Yama sword for many years, and listened to the Yama Palace Shuriking's lectures dozens of times. But I'm really proud of the 2 moves of the Yama sword. One is the devil slaying style, and the other is the god channeling style. The three saints Shuriking laughed. Sudang, you better be careful. He took the initiative to tell Sudang what he was good at, which seemed to be upright, and let Sudang be prepared. It was like a way of teaching and learning. Sudang's heart was also slightly moved. The Yama sword has a total of 36 moves. Although there are many, there are only a few of the 36 that are extremely powerful, including the devil slaying style and the god channeling style. But a large amount of vast divine power was instantly condensed, and a flaming red sword was directly formed in front of the three saints Shuriking wearing a flaming red divine armor. Very profound Taoist essence. Sudang was slightly surprised. The 7 crowns Shuriking is indeed extraordinary. Sudang, my divine power is at the same level as yours. Your divine body is extremely strong. Your divine power is also strong. I'm not taking advantage of you, am I? The three saints Shuriking grinned. Sudang silently turned his divine power to condense a black long sword in front of him. His eyes were fixed on the front. Be careful. The three saints Shuriking shouted, and then the fiery red sword in front of him suddenly slashed the void, and a sword light rushed forward and slashed directly towards Sudang. The first sword, the demon killing style. The 9-headed golden crow in the sky above the void of the mountain and sea world emitted endless light, shining on the sword light. The refracted light made the sword light very dazzling, but it gave people an extremely cold feeling. It was like a killer hiding in the dark, and his fatal blow burst out in an instant. But the sword light passed through the space, and there was a faint ghost-like hissing. Sudang's face changed. His mind moved. The black long sword in front of him also slashed forward. The accumulation of Taoism and the understanding of swordsmanship in these days were immediately reflected. The dark and deep blade light flashed, also a demon killing style. Sudang's mastery of the Yama blade was almost the same, with little difference. Boom. His black blade light collided with the fiery red blade light of the three saints Shuriking in an instant. The black blade light was like a fragile wooden board hit by a flood beast. With a bang, it was directly hit high into the sky, and the divine power scattered, a mess in the sun, blowing on Sudang's divine body. Sudang's face did not change. The divine body is indeed strong. The backlash of the divine power has no effect at all. The many Shurikings watching cheered secretly. When the divine power condenses and fights, it will also be backlashed by the divine power, unless the divine body is strong enough, and is not afraid of the impact of the divine power. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. This is too weak. The three saints Shuriking shook his head. His face was full of sighs, but his eyes were full of smiles. Whoosh. A pitch black long sword condensed in front of Sudang again. The sword he used just now. It faintly gathered other mysteries. It was not a pure Yama sword, but the attack was stronger. The same divine power, the same sword. How could it be stronger? Sudang had doubts in his eyes. What was the mystery of that sword? Haha. Sudang, your move is too weak. This is not like the direct descendant of the Shuriking of the Yama Palace. Take another move from me. The Three Saints Shuriking was very happy. He just wanted to torture Sudang and let him wake up to what it means to have a higher power than the heaven and a higher power than the man. Chaos God style. The fiery red sword in front of the Three Saints Shuriking slashed again. But this time, hundreds of sword lights appeared in an instant. These sword lights seemed to rebel against the gods, but each one contained endless murderous intent. This time, there was still a faint ghost-like hissing. This kind of fluctuation again. Sudang suddenly choked. The difference between him and the Three Saints Shuriking was this strange ghost-like hissing. So with the same sword, the opponent is stronger. What is this fluctuation? Core data analysis. Whoosh. Sudang also burst out the same chaotic god style, but this time he attached his core data origin to the divine power blade. The black and fiery red blades collided in an instant. Boom. The black blade was instantly chopped away and disintegrated. But at that moment, Sudang's core data space origin collected array of information from the fiery red blade of the Three Saints. That is, Sudang's eyes narrowed slightly, and a picture appeared in his core data space. In the vast fiery red divine power blade, there were traces of strange Dao distributed differently, crisscrossed, and then emitted strange vibrations, and each vibration burst out with superpower. Just a small change, it burst out with more powerful power. I understand. Sudang's eyes suddenly burst out with unprecedented spirit. He was defeated again in this style, and the divine power backfired, causing his long hair to fly. But Sudang smiled. Chapter 608. The gap between genius and the other. I was really stupid in the past. Swordsmanship is dead, but people are alive. Sudang shook his head. The Yama sword was created by the Shuriking of the Yama Palace. It is of a very high level. However, no matter how high the swordsmanship is, it is the strongest when the Shuriking of the Yama Palace performs it. He performs it? No matter how thorough the understanding is, it is still someone else's. Only by adding one's own Tao can one exert a stronger power. However, integrating one's own Tao also requires a strong understanding of Tao. If the foundation of Taoism is not enough, rashly integrating it will lower the level of swordsmanship, which is like adding unnecessary details. But it is obvious that the Shuriking of the Three Saints does have his own insights on the two styles of demon slaying style and god chasing style. Being able to integrate his own understanding, he has already turned the Yama Palace into his own sword. In terms of the insights on the Yama sword swordsmanship, without guidance, I can't compare with these Three Saints, even if I'm given another 10 years. But with this competition, it has saved me a lot of trouble. Sudang smiled. He has an extraordinary talent for swordsmanship and many trump card opportunities. It takes hundreds or thousands of years for others, but only 10 or 20 years is enough for him. However, only by learning from each other, and learning from each other can we constantly verify and strengthen ourselves. Sudang, why don't we just give up? You are too. The Three Saints Shuriking laughed in the distance, looking embarrassed. It was enough to beat Sudang twice to let him learn more. Now it can be regarded as a relief for the Six Saints Shuriking. It's not his opponent at all. The swordsmanship is not on the same level. Many Shurikings who were watching also shook their heads and sighed. Although they knew that the Three Saints were bullying the weak, this was the world of the strong. Sudang's understanding of the swordsmanship of the Yama Palace were completely on a different level. Come again. Sudang waved his hand, and a dark divine long sword condensed in front of him again. So persistent. It's good to be resilient. But the gap is too big, and it's stupid to be stubborn. The corners of the Three Saints Shuriking's mouth curled up. Comparing the Yama swordsmanship with him? It's a joke. The two styles of demon slaying style and god chasing style were the two styles he was most proud of. It took him nearly 100 years to integrate the Dao he had mastered into them. So he was extremely confident. Go, demon slaying style. The Three Saints Shuriking swung his sword again. This sword also emitted strange fluctuations like the hissing of ghosts. It instantly penetrated the distance between the mountains. It shot in front of Sudang. Here it comes. Sudang's face was slightly condensed. He also contained the mysteries of Dao contained in the sword light of the three saints shuriking in his own sword light. Puff. The pitch black sword light burst out instantly. A strange, vast, and strange power erupted. In terms of the understanding of Dao, I'm not as good as these three saints, but I can copy them and perform them. Although he did not understand the most essential Dao, he mastered the way of Dao contained in the sword light, which was progress. Suddenly, the shadow of the black sword light that passed through the space also emitted a ghost-like hissing fluctuation. The Yama blade demon slaying style was extremely murderous, and at this moment, the killing intent surged. In front of this blade, all creatures, whether they were holy spirits or gods, were like ants. The three saints shuriking also shuddered. He had completely crushed and ravaged Sudang twice in a row. He had thought that he would completely crush the latter again this time, and the smug smile on his face was still hanging, but he was suddenly dumbfounded. This blade. Laymen watched the excitement, while experts watched the doorway, not to mention that it was exactly the same blade as his. He instantly felt the change in the blade light. Boom. The black blade light collided with the fiery red blade light. This time, the black blade light was not directly defeated, but crossed with the fiery red blade light, and the powerful blade light burst out. The blade light danced wildly in the mountains. Countless sword ki were everywhere. Oh my god. The three saints shuriking's face changed completely. His eyes were full of shock. Sudang's swordsmanship has improved, and it feels very similar to the three saints' swordsmanship. The shurikings who were watching the battle from a distance were also shocked. The weaker shurikings were not at a high enough level. They could not see the mystery contained in Sudang's sword, but they were different. At their level, they naturally understood many methods. Even if it was the same word, there would be 100 different handwriting styles for 100 people. Not to mention swordsmanship. The three saints cultivated two styles of the Yama sword into their own styles, but Sudang's swordsmanship, how could it be so similar? The slightly weaker shurikings, such as Yang and Shuriking and Silver Knife. Although they could not see the secret of Sudang's sword, Sudang's previous two swords were crushed by the three saints shurikings. How could he suddenly become so strong? He could even be on par with the sword power of the three saints shurikings. No more competition. No more competition. Suddenly, the shocked three saints shuriking spoke directly. He stood up without grace. Sudang was stunned. So they didn't want to spar anymore? He felt that he had only learned the basics by copying others. He would gain a lot if he sparred with them again. But the three saints shuriking just stared at him with a strange look. Then he hurriedly flew to the front of the preaching hall. Three saints, what's wrong? Three saints, what's the matter? Sudang's understanding of the swordsmanship in the demon slaying style can be on par with yours? The two companions asked him in surprise. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. The three saints shuriking shook his head. I failed today. I have to stay away from Sudang in the future. The three saints shuriking and his two companions communicated with each other. Then he flew into the sky and flew away. The remaining two shurikings looked at each other. What's wrong with the three saints? Look at him. It's like he saw a ghost. Sudang flew back to the preaching hall. Yandao and Yangen both walked to Sudang's side. Many shurikings nearby also focused their eyes on him. Sudang, your understanding of the Yama blade swordsmanship is so high. Yandao asked in surprise. In the past, he only thought that Sudang had a very high level of attainment in the Cheyenne Waishan swordsmanship. He didn't expect that the Yama blade was so high. Amazing that Sansheng has studied the Yama blade very deeply. Your swordsmanship is on par with his? Yang En also flew over, and his eyes were even more surprised. If Sudang had used this Yama blade in the ring battle that day, he would have lost even faster. Sudang shook his head slightly. It's just a swordsmanship exchange. It's nothing. In terms of strength, the three saints shuriking is a 7-crowned shuriking after all. He is much better than him. The only regret is that, if he could analyze the swordsmanship of the three saints shuriking, maybe he would have gained more. Yang and Shuriking looked at Sudang strangely and said nothing more. In his eyes, Sudong was too humble. This exchange did not cause any big waves. Just as the three saints Shuriking said, it was just an ordinary exchange after hearing the speech of the Shuriking of the Yama Palace. But those who are interested still remember it. The Shuriking Sudong's attainments in the Yama sword are also extraordinary. The three saints Shuriking flew back to his cave and locked himself in the cave silently. There were many sword techniques recorded in the cave, which were the crystallization of his step-by-step research. But at this moment, the eyes of the three saints Shuriking were full of unwillingness and disbelief. This time, he was fully prepared to humiliate Sudong and teach Sudong a lesson after the exchange, but now he was completely dumbfounded. Then Sudong only watched me perform the sword technique twice and completely understood the mystery. This is too evil. He clearly remembered that Sudong's understanding of the sword technique was very ordinary at the beginning, but suddenly it skyrocketed. Did he understand the same mystery as himself? The three saints Shuriking felt the pressure deeply. Is this the gap between himself and the genius? Chapter 609, Offering a Peerless Sword Skill. The three saints Shuriking is also a genius and has put a lot of effort into studying swordsmanship. It's just that he is a little protective of his shortcomings. This is not a shortcoming for a strong man. At this moment, he sat there blankly. After all, he is a powerful Holy Spirit with an extraordinary mind. After a while, the unwillingness and disbelief in his eyes gradually faded, and he regained his composure again. That's Sudong. His talent for swordsmanship is ridiculously high. This is recognized. He easily understood the mysteries of my swordsmanship today. First, it proves that my mysteries are still very crude and need to be improved. Second, it also proves his talent. I actually met such a monster? The three saints Shuriking shook his head. There are many legendary geniuses in the void of the endless era. There are countless people who break through in battle. There are countless people who comprehend. No wonder the Shuriking of the Yama Palace attaches great importance to Sudong. This Sudong is indeed terrible. This kind of genius is not suitable for making enemies. I have to tell the six saints. The three saints Shuriking regained his composure and took out the command token to send a message to the six saints Shuriking. There are no eternal enemies in this world. He who knows the current situation is a hero. In this world, where the strong are respected, only those who fear the strong can go further. What? Let me apologize to that Sudong. In the residence of the six saints Shuriking, he stared at the talisman in his hand in amazement. Okay, I understand. After the communication was cut off, although the six saints Shuriking was unwilling, he still took a few treasures with him as soon as possible. Go to Sudong's cave. He didn't listen to others, but he didn't dare to disobey the words of the three saints Shuriking. He also knew that this third brother always wanted his own good. But when the six saints Shuriking came to Sudong's sword tower cave, only the goddess Mingjing came out to tell him. Sudong couldn't meet him because he started his retreat again. The six saints Shuriking came to apologize and make friends, so he naturally didn't dare to disturb him. He could only retreat in eternal time and space. After listening to the sermon of the Shuriking of the Yama Palace, Sudong had a new understanding of the swordsmanship. In addition, the exchange with the three saints Shuriking made Sudong suddenly enlightened. If you master one method, you will master all methods. In the past, I was too obsessed with the Shian Weishan swordsmanship. In fact, the Yama swordsmanship is also a fixed point swordsmanship. Sudong put a lot of energy into the Yama swordsmanship. The Yama swordsmanship has a total of 36 styles, and each of these 36 styles is a killing move. The 36 killing moves can actually be separated and practiced separately. Of course, you need to master all of them at the beginning, and then see which one you can perform the best, and then focus on that one. For example, the three saints Shuriking spent 1,000 years studying the two swords of exterminating demons and chaos gods. Although there are only two swords, he has completely integrated these two swords and even innovated them. Sudong also understands this. He learned a little bit of the mysterious fur of the three saints Shuriking by imitating, but this fur is only for reference. What he needs is his own insights and understandings. Add his own mystery. For me, among the 36 styles, the most suitable and effective ones are the heart slaying style, the heaven destroying style, and the demon slaying style. Because he was practicing the Heaven Sword technique at the same time, they influenced each other. Naturally, there would be bias in the sword style. Among them, the heart-slaying style emphasized the killing intent the most. It was also the style specially explained by the Azura King of the Yama Palace, and Sudong had many insights. It was a pity that Sudong did not practice this style with the Three Saints Azura King. The second heaven-destroying style focused on power, which matched the sword intent of the Heaven Sword technique. The third demon-slaying style, Sudong's original understanding was average. He could imitate the profoundness of the Three Saints Azura King, but now the power of the sword technique is the strongest. He learned it by copying, which was just the fur. Sudong did not understand the truth, so he naturally could not apply it to other styles. Don't consider the demon-slaying style, it is just a reference for me to integrate into the profoundness of the sword technique. The heart-slaying style and the heaven-destroying style. Sudong decided to focus all his energy on these two styles. Time passed, and Sudong practiced silently. Eternal time and space slowed down 100 times. Sudong occasionally performed the heart-slaying style. Occasionally, he performed the heaven-destroying style. The 9th level of the Heaven Outer Heaven Sword technique. It was completely based on inspiration, without thinking. On this day, Sudong was still practicing the heart-slaying style. In front of him was endless sword light, and his mind was empty. Suddenly, Sudong opened his eyes and looked forward. He casually sketched forward, and suddenly the picture of the Azura King of the Yama Palace preaching appeared in front of him. This picture was stored in the core data space, and analyzed over and over again. The 9th level of the Heaven Outer Heaven Sword technique described in the picture. The extremely huge sword light penetrated everything. In Sudong's eyes, some parts were clear, and some parts were blurry. But vaguely, he could understand most of it. His perception was close to breaking through the 9th level of the Heaven Outer Heaven Sword technique. But then the picture changed, and the Azura King of the Yama Palace began to talk about the heart-slaying style. That sword was extremely fast, like a ghost in the dark night, and like thunder in chaos. Exploded instantly, bursting. First tell me about the 9th level of Xian Wei Xian sword skill, and then tell me about the heart-slaying style. Sudong's heart moved. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Sword skills are dead, but people are alive. The heart-slaying style is very simple. He has mastered it completely, but he can't integrate it into his own way of enlightenment. But the 9th level of Xian Wei Xian sword skill is very complicated. It is extremely complicated, and almost contains most of the origin of the way of death. Sudong looked at the picture drawn in front of him. In that picture, the 9th level of Xian Wei Xian sword skill runs through everything. It is mighty and unstoppable. The heart-slaying style is silent and murderous. Both are being performed, obviously to completely different sword intentions. Boom. But it is like a star explosion, instantly causing a storm in Sudong's mind. This is my mystery. Wow. The picture drawn in front of him disappeared completely, but Sudong's eyes were shining with divine light. Those sword lights and sword skills were like branding in his mind. The most fundamental mystery of the two sword techniques is penetration, no matter whether it is mighty or silent. Both of them are a flash of sword light that penetrates all obstacles. Even the Dao contained in them can be combined and superimposed, but the heart-slaying style tends to be weird and fast, but lacks the domineering of the heavenly sword technique. Sudong's sword intention is domineering. The sword is the king of weapons. In addition, Sudong also practiced the 12-layer heavenly sword technique, the most terrifying in the void. One sword penetrates and crushes everything. Therefore, what the heart-slaying style lacks is power. Sudong's mind flashed. At first, he used the Yama Palace as a reference to practice the heavenly sword technique, but the Three Saints Azura King gave him inspiration. No matter what sword technique it is your own sword technique when it is integrated into your own understanding. The Three Saints Azura King integrated the Dao and the demon slaying style and the chaos god style. It tends to be weird. Although it also increases power, it still tends to be weird. The sword technique of the outer world, yes, it is this kind of sword intent. What I have to do is to integrate this sword intent and the mystery into the heart killing style. The strongest sword technique is sacrificed. The sword technique of the outer world is too perfect, and Sudong has not fully mastered it. Moreover, the 12 levels are all connected. It is a complete high-rise building. Sudan cannot change it from the middle, but the Yama sword can. The 36 styles can be integrated and split. I will use the heart-killing style to carry my sword method of the sword intent of the outer world. Sudan no longer hesitated and hurriedly integrated and practiced the heart-killing style according to his idea. This practice immediately felt like God's help, and his swordsmanship improved extremely rapidly. And it was like discovering a new continent. The more Sudan practiced, the happier he felt. 2 more chapters. Danki is dizzy today, so I will update twice. Iron Juice. Chapter 610. 3 life talismans. 3000 dewdrops. Cultivation itself is a process from ignorance to sudden enlightenment, from unfamiliarity to familiarity. Once you gain something, it is even more refreshing. This is also the path that many strong people take to practice, and they are extremely obsessed with this path. It is because of the inner love that they continue to explore, discover, and break through. This sense of pleasure, joy, and accomplishment cannot be replaced at all. In the eternal time and space, Sudong integrated the mysterious meaning of the sword of the Cheyenne Waishan sword into the heart-killing style. Sudong's swordsmanship was instantly improved by a large margin. The sword of the heart-killing style chopped out horizontally, fast and weird. This weird sword, combined with superpower. Of course, this is only a preliminary success. Just integrating a trace of the mysterious meaning of the sword into it, like the 3 saints shuriken perfectly integrating his own way into the 2 styles of the Yama sword, took 1,000 years. From conception to practice, and finally success, it takes a lot of time in between. However, the initial success has made Sudong full of confidence. This heart-slaying style can be even more perfect and more suitable for me. Sudong was extremely looking forward to it, his eyes shining, and he performed the heart-slaying style over and over again, and then integrated his own understanding. Of course, he would fail occasionally, because the heart-slaying style itself is a part of the Yama sword, and contains the characteristics of the Yama sword. If the characteristics are changed, it will not be an improvement, but a lower level of sword skills. Everything needs to start from the beginning. Since then, Sudong has been immersed in the practice of this sword technique. Time has slowed down 100 times. He performed sword techniques in the eternal time and space, and terrifying sword lights were reflected in time and space. He kept accumulating. 1 day, 2 days, 100 days, 300 days. On the 300th day in the eternal time and space, Sudong completely integrated the domineering sword intent of the sky into a horizontal slash in the heart-slaying style. It was just a horizontal slash, and a sword light fell from the sky, and instantly tore the space apart. Another 100 days were spent, and Sudong stood in the eternal time and space. He held the handle of the sword in his hand, and the sword was in the sheath. He drew the sword in an instant. The silver bright space was instantly shattered. It drifted away like snowflakes. It took another 50 days. Sudong raised his sword, and swung it violently, and the sword light split into hundreds of rays. Only then did Sudong stop. In the cave of the sword tower, only 7 days had passed in the outside world. Sudong sat in the cave excitedly. Finally, I have completely integrated my own mysteries into a heart-destroying style. With the help of eternal time and space, he also borrowed the mysteries of the 3 saints shuriken. He tried again and again. Finally, he completely integrated this style, and brought forth something new. Although this style is still very simple, but the real improvement gave Sudong a direction to move forward. The entire heart-destroying style has completely evolved into 3 sword techniques, divided into 3 swords to perform. Among them, the first and third swords are relatively easy, but the second style of drawing the sword, Sudong took the longest time to conceive of that style alone. It also consumed the most energy. During this period, he comprehended the first sword horizontal chop, and it took another 100 days before he fully comprehended the second sword. This is also because I have accumulated enough, have guidance, and the core data space consciousness operates extremely quickly. But it was not until today that I finally fully integrated into the mystery. Sudong sighed. He took a detour in the middle, but he finally understood it. This move of the 36 styles of the Yama sword, the heart-slaying style, he can be said to have reached a new height. Sudong was extremely satisfied. It is not easy to innovate and integrate your own understanding in the top swordsmanship. Although there is eternal space and guidance, it took 700 days, which is only 2 years, to prove that Sudang's swordsmanship talent is absolutely far higher than that of the three saints Shuriking. It is not a class at all. Well, my swordsmanship has been upgraded to a higher level now, and the strongest one is this hard slaying style. Trying to integrate other styles, it doesn't make much sense. Sudang shook his head. The three saints Shuriking spent so much time studying the demon slaying style and the chaos god style. Although the power of both styles has greatly increased, it has not improved his own strength much. Because the 36 styles of the Yama sword exist independently, it's just that they are good at different aspects. Unless the essence of the swordsmanship is improved. The Yama sword is a sword technique that the Azura King of the Yama Palace relied on to reach the pinnacle. It is infinitely mysterious and not that simple. The Shian Weishan sword technique has reached a bottleneck. There is no need to study other styles of the Yama sword, and the improvement of the Taoism has also encountered shackles. Sudang stood in the cave. Well, it's time to use the 3 life talisman. The 3 life talisman contains 3000 worlds, and behind each world there are great benefits that point directly to the Tao. Experiencing a life in it is bound to make you gain a lot. It's just that the use of the 3 life talisman is used to break through the shackles, not to accumulate. Obviously, this period of life may be very short for the gods, so let it accumulate to a certain level before using it. Just now, the sword technique broke through. Sudang is full of confidence, and he also feels that he can't make any progress. It's time to use the 3 life talisman. I hope to break through the level of the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor in one fell swoop. Even if I can't become the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor, I have to take my sword technique one step further and break through the 9th level of the Shian Weishan sword technique. A life in the 3 life talisman. The outside world has only passed a moment. In the cave, the incense burner that the goddess Mingjing specially lit for Sudang was burning and rising with misty clouds. Sudang sat cross-legged, wearing a white robe, holding the 3 life talisman in his hand. This book was recently updated on Update. To use this 3 life talisman once, you need to drip a drop of your own divine blood to activate it. Sudang's heart moved slightly. His fingertips immediately forced out a drop of divine blood, which had a strange divine nature, and emitted a brilliant blood-like light, dripping directly onto the 3 life talisman oracle bone. Let's get started. As the divine blood dripped onto the 3 life talisman, an ancient breath suddenly hit Sudang's core data space. He silently expected it, and he didn't ask Laehuo what it felt like to use this 3 life talisman at the beginning. The mysterious breath instantly penetrated into his body. Then it instantly enveloped Sudang's core data space in an irresistible moment. Sweeping my core data space directly? Sudang's face changed. The colorful stone clone far away in the void in the Middle Ages also changed his face. No matter how many divine bodies there are, they are only carriers of his core data space. The core data space is the core of life, the most important thing, and it cannot be sloppy. The 5-colored stone clone closed his eyes immediately. Sudang's super touch divine body also closed his eyes. The core data space was impacted by the ancient aura. The ancient aura was vast and boundless, making him feel an incomparable pressure coming down. This kind of pressure is not so strong even when facing the existence of the Lord King of Pan's Hang Mountain and Master Wang. Vast, mysterious, and ancient. The void is vast, the world is boundless, and existence is reasonable. My cognition is still too narrow. In the past, he thought that his core data space was unique enough and unique. Now in the face of this aura pressure, he felt that he was just a part of the mortal world. Wrapped in this mysterious and ancient aura, Sudang's core data space trembled slightly. He could see that in the cracks of the oracle bones of the 3 life talisman, there were mysterious purple gold thunders flashing, and purple gold electric lights flowing like dragons and snakes. Swish. In an instant, his core data space was enveloped by the mysterious aura, pulling out the divine body, and the 5-colored stone clone and the super touch divine body fell into a dead silence at the same time. Sudang's mind was shocked, and he felt an unprecedented danger. Since his life core changed, this was the first time he encountered such a situation. Then the mysterious aura enveloped the three life talisman oracle bone, and thunder flashed between the cracks of the oracle bone, instantly passing through the thunder layer. Then Sudang's core data saw a gap space with crystal dewdrops suspended in it, and there were faint shadows of the avenue hovering between those dewdrops. No more, no less, a total of 3,000 dewdrops. Swish. The mysterious aura enveloped Sudang's core data space and instantly drilled into one of the dewdrops. Chapter 611. The Dissolute Third Master Chu. Sudang's core data space could see it clearly. The mysterious aura wrapped around his core data and instantly penetrated the dewdrop. Inside the dewdrop was a vast world, which was boundless and far more vast than the void of an era. Sudang was still shocked. 3,000 worlds of the three life talisman. These 3,000 worlds were 3,000 dewdrops? He was shocked, and only at this moment did he deeply feel the wonder of the divine object, the strangeness of the world. He could only say that his knowledge was still too small. In the time it took to think about it, the mysterious aura had already fallen directly onto a continent in the world. The speed was so fast that Sudang didn't have time to see the whole picture of the land. Then it penetrated thousands of miles and rushed into the body of a young man. Suddenly, the core data space took over everything in the young man's body. Possession? This young man is the life I want to start? Sudang understood instantly. His core data space entered the young man's body, but the mysterious aura still wrapped around his core data space. He tried to release his avenue pressure, realm power, but everything was blocked by the mysterious aura. Become immortal. Sudang immediately determined that this was the confinement of the three life talisman. Otherwise, with his realm, he could easily crush most of the creatures in the world. Even if the Holy Spirit came, he could contend. It is impossible without suppression and confinement. Chu Xianfeng, 17 years old this year, is the third son of the current head of the Chu family, a large family in the Shenlong ancient country. Sudang immediately got a lot of information about this young man in his core data. This third young master of the Chu family was born with a golden key, so he naturally lives a colorful life. Although he doesn't like to practice, he is only good at boxing and kicking, but his literary talent is quite high. He is studying at Linghe Academy, one of the three major universities in the Shenlong ancient country. Relying on his literary talent, he can linger in the place of fireworks. He also won the title of the Four Talents of Shenlong. Sudang was speechless as soon as he received the many memory information of this body. The original owner of this body was an out-and-out playboy who had done all kinds of fancy things. The several erotic memories clearly remembered in his memory. Sudang couldn't even speak of them. In a word, Chu Xianfeng's life has been a waste of time for just 5 years, since he was 12 years old. These are what he remembers, and there are many memories of one night. Chu Xianfeng himself can't remember clearly, and Sudang naturally just glanced over them vaguely. But flirting with women will always cause trouble. This third son of Chu was not only a waste, but also liked to hook up with other people. As the saying goes, if you often walk by the river, you will get your shoes wet. He was almost killed several times. Thanks to the guards around him, he has survived safely until now. But this time he provoked an enemy he couldn't afford to offend. Qin Zheng, the second son of the Duke of Shenlong. Chu Xianfeng was beaten severely in public and sent back to the Chu family dying. The Chu family didn't dare to retaliate. First, it was unclear what happened between men and women, and second, the Duke's status was extremely high, even above the Chu family, so they could only remain silent. Although Chu Xianfeng was not very motivated, but his two elder brothers, Chu Xiansheng and Chu Xianhong, both of them were geniuses in cultivation. Speaking of cultivation, the cultivation methods in this world are all about expounding the Great Dao. There are 4 supreme Great Daos and 3,000 minor Daos. The realm of cultivation is also divided into 7 realms: foundation building, Daosheng, Sankei, Mahayana, becoming a saint, Qianqi, and breaking the world. There are so many Daos in this world. I'm cultivating the Holy Spirit path, and I only cultivate the Great Dao of life and death. Sudang was slightly surprised. From the information he got, the Great Dao of life and death is just one of the 4 supreme Great Daos. The 4 supreme Great Daos are life and death, heart desire, universe, and all things. According to the legend of this world, only the Supreme Dao can eventually cultivate to break the world. The so-called breaking the world means being able to break the shackles of the world and reach a higher level. And Cheyenne key is to live as long as the sky and be on par with the sky. According to memory, the 3000 minor Daos can reach this level of Cheyenne key. The Dao of the sword is also one of the 3000 minor Daos. Sudong was surprised. This world has studied the sword path, the Dao of the sword, and other weapons methods and techniques very thoroughly, and can completely lead to the great Dao. The path of the Holy Spirit is the transformation of Taoism into swordsmanship. In this world, swordsmanship points directly to the great Dao. There are 4 great Daos, one of which is the great Dao of life and death. Sudong was surprised and happy, not to mention the great Dao of life and death. His path of the Holy Spirit is this one, and he can also understand the 2 great Daos of the universe, all things. Just like those who transcend the 6 paths, like the creatures of purgatory, or the strange life forms when the 2 worlds and galaxies are destroyed, they should not belong to the great Dao of life and death. They belong to all things. The universe, covering time and space. His body method of Cheyenne Luo Wang Xiang once touched this path, and the desire of the heart. This is the most shocking avenue for Sudong. This is actually a great road! Exclamation mark. I have learned a lot. Sudong was shocked. I finally understood why this Sansheng talisman is a divine object that breaks through the shackles. The so-called breaking the boundary here should be to become a Holy Spirit. Of course, the small path cannot reach this realm, but it can also reach the level of Cheyenne key. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. To achieve immortality with swordsmanship, to live as long as the sky. What level of swordsmanship must be reached? Sudong sighed in his heart. He came to the right place. This Sansheng talisman is a great opportunity. It is a great opportunity for him to break through, to become a Holy Spirit, and it is also a treasure land for swordsmanship accumulation. In this world, the strong are also respected. The strong control the world and create laws. The strongest of the Chu family, who is also the ancestor of the Chu family, is now over 8,000 years old, and his realm has reached the realm of becoming a saint. He once killed an evil spirit in the East China Sea for the ancient country, and was named a saint. Saint is just a title, and there is no real power. Of course, he also enjoys many benefits and offerings from the ancient country. Literati also have some status. After all, in governing the country and understanding the Tao, some literati even have more unique insights than practitioners. It's just that there are very few people who enter the Tao through literature in the legend, and it's very unreliable. Chu Xianfeng has been eating, drinking and having fun since he was a child, and he can't work hard. Everything is difficult at the beginning. Laying the foundation at the beginning of cultivation is the most difficult. In comparison, it is much easier to write, and he can also be an official in politics, so the Chu family will let him go. But I didn't expect that the third son of Chu didn't use culture to govern the country in politics, but used it to seduce good women and linger in the place of fireworks. Of course, the so-called 4 sons of Shenlong have to admit that Chu Xianfeng's literary talent is still good. It is also an achievement to be chased by people all over the world. This Chu Xianfeng's 3 views are not right. There are so many women who like you, but you like a woman who is so scheming and ruined yourself. Sudong shook his head. Regardless of his talent, he just thinks that Chu Xianfeng is stupid enough. The woman just used some tricks and was confused, and finally provoked the second son of the Duke. Sudong's eyesight is so sharp that he can easily see that it was the woman who made trouble. I'm afraid she wanted to kill Chu Xianfeng from the beginning to the end. From his memory, Sudong clearly understood the ins and outs of the matter, and was finally beaten seriously. Everything was a trap. It's settled. Chu Xianfeng is dead. I will help him finish the rest of his life. The grudges and mistakes are forgotten. What if there is trouble or involvement with Chu Xianfeng's family again? Sudong opened his eyes, and a sharp light flashed in his deep eyes. He was able to enter this body because Chu Xianfeng's original soul and will had long dissipated. Natural death cannot die again. Since I'm using your body, I will naturally protect the people you care about. Sudong said silently. I said I'm stuck. Do you believe me? I will try my best to update 3 times tomorrow. Try my best. Chapter 612 3000 Trails. Sudong sat up from the bed and looked around. The room was decorated quite elegantly, with several paintings of landscapes and calligraphy on the walls, quite freehand. This was Chu Xianfeng's room. This time, Chu Xianfeng also pissed off his father. He came back seriously injured, but he just let a doctor in the mansion take a look and left him alone. Sudong shook his head. In fact, it was no wonder that he was not worried. This world is rich in spiritual energy. As long as you come into contact with cultivation, spiritual energy will be infused into your body. As long as it is not a fatal injury, you can always recover with some spiritual medicine. The Chu family, a big family, still has the financial resources. Originally, nothing happened, but my body was not only seriously injured, I was also tricked. The second son of the Duke of Guo also made up his mind to kill Chu Xianfeng. He actually poisoned me. This poison will not cause any harm until it breaks out. Once it breaks out, it will take Chu Xianfeng's life. Sudong waved his hand casually. Swish. A gap appeared in the palm of his left hand, and a goo worm that was swollen and fat from sucking blood was forced out of his body in an instant. Then a knife energy condensed out of thin air. The poisonous insect just happened to touch the knife energy, and it was instantly turned into powder with a puff. Bloodthirsty poison. Although Chu Xianfeng is not good at martial arts, he is knowledgeable and has traveled abroad. He has seen all kinds of news. This bloodthirsty poison comes from the Black Fox gang in southern Xinjiang. The Duke of the Ancient Dragon Kingdom is from southern Xinjiang. It seems that this second son is also related to the Black Fox gang. The Black Fox gang is a well-known gang in the world. It acts in a mysterious way. There are also a group of bandits who burn, kill, rob and do all kinds of evil in the gang. It can be said that it is a very powerful local snake even in the entire southern Xinjiang. The officials of the ancient country who governed southern Xinjiang tried to wipe out the Black Fox gang several times but failed. Even the Black Fox gang's revenge on the officials in office made the later ones terrified and fearful. After several times, even the officials avoided them. These lawless people who dare to provoke them, they will take revenge until they die. But daring to jump like this naturally has its confidence. After all, in the ancient country of Shenlang, the strongest is still the army of the ancient country. There are many strong people among them. Why can't they wipe out a mere gang? Isn't it because there are backers behind it? The ancient country of Shenlang has been established for tens of millions of years. The legendary king is a top strong man who is about to reach the level of breaking the realm. One step away from breaking the realm. But, the legend of breaking the realm is also very rare in this world. Although it exists, it only appears once every tens of millions of years. After all, it is too difficult to understand the Supreme Avenue. It is very good to have one in tens of millions of years. The king of the ancient country of Shenlang is one of the most powerful people in the world, who is most likely to break the realm. But such a strong man has long been ignoring the trivialities of governing the country. All affairs have been handed over to many strong men under his command, including the Duke of Qin. With the protection of the Duke, the court's intelligence is clear. How can this Black Fox gang not be arrogant? Sudong sneered. This Chu Xianfeng is a typical second-generation rich man. He thought that relying on his status as a big Chu family, he could flirt with people at will and not fear anyone. But he didn't know that, if he really met someone with a bigger background, he would be killed. Sudong didn't sympathize with Chu Xianfeng at all. He was just asking for his own death, and he couldn't blame others. This world is rich in spiritual energy, and it is also a good place to practice body. I really don't know how the 3-life talisman was born, and it actually contains such a high-level world. Sudong took a deep breath. Looking out the window, there were flowers and plants showing spiritual light blooming outside, and spiritual energy visible to the naked eye turned into mist and floated in the air. In memory, the Chu family invited a master to set up a large formation to gather spiritual energy in the mansion, but even if it was because of the formation, it can be seen that the level of this world is extremely high. Because the spiritual energy is extremely high, the level of the creatures naturally nurtured is also extremely high. If it is arranged according to the food chain, Humans are, needless to say, the leader of all spirits, opening up one country after another, and are considered the top. But as individuals, the one standing at the top is the spirit race. The spirit race has no fixed single form. Some are birds, some are beasts, and some are completely like evil spirits. In short, they are born extremely powerful, standing at the top of the food chain. They can even use the power of Tao. It can be said that any spirit creature has the strength of human sainthood. However, although the spirit race is born strong, their growth and cultivation are very slow, and their number is smaller. This also means that the rulers of the continent are destined to be humans with a larger number. In a word, this world is a little higher than the 9 realms ancient country in terms of level, but it is much worse than the Holy Land that Uanquandeofu has been operating for a long time, such as the void of the mountain and sea realm. There are 2 holy spirits in the 9 realms. Although there are few people who break through the realm in this world, it is also against the will of heaven to have one in tens of millions of years. One represents the rise of an era. Therefore, the ancient dragon country still attaches great importance to the cultivation of strong people. Once a top genius appears, it will devote huge resources to cultivation. My 2 elder brothers, the eldest brother Chushian Cheng is 31 years old. His strength has broken through to the Mahayana. The second brother Chushian Hang is even more talented, with an extraordinary talent in swordsmanship. At only 26 years old, he has the strength of the Mahayana. This is considered a first-class genius in the ancient country of Shenlang. You know, once the 3000 small ways are understood, when you understand the great way in the future, your strength will be stronger than the powerful people who have directly understood the great way, or even stronger than everyone at the same level. The 3000 small ways should not be underestimated. They are called small ways, but they have infinite changes. If you use them well, you can increase your strength by 100 or 1000 times. This is the cognition of this world. In Sudong's view, that is the increase and improvement of power by techniques. 3000 small ways, each small way contains endless side branches. In theory, because the way is clear, this world has a clearer understanding of techniques. This is something that the Void Age cannot compare to. Chushian Feng didn't like to practice since he was a child, but he liked to read. It's a good thing to like reading, and he has browsed a lot of good techniques. Sudong smiled. Standing in front of the window, he sorted out many complicated memories in his mind. Although these memories were deposited in Chushian Feng's mind, most of them were remembered casually by him. He didn't care about them later, nor did he think about them. This book was recently updated in Update. Chushian Feng is a good writer, and Sudong still admires his ability to remember everything he saw. The Chu family's inherited magic breaking spear is considered a high-level spear technique, and the Chu family's ancestor has reached the Holy Realm with this magic breaking spear technique. He was just one step away from understanding a small path. Master Li Zuir of Linghe Academy, because of Chushian Feng's sweet words, a beautiful master in her 70s specially passed her unique dreamy infinite sword technique to Chushian Feng for self-defense. Sudong was amazed. The world is so big that there are all kinds of wonders. Li Zuir is a tutor at Linghe Academy. She is talented and a beauty of her generation. She is 70 years old and has a beautiful face due to her successful cultivation. She has many admirers. Now she is also a great master, but she was coaxed by Chushian Feng. Of course, it was a waste to pass this sword technique to Chushian Feng. Chushian Feng only read it once. At first, he tried to learn it, but later he forgot about it. And the stick technique of the 5-key master. The sword technique of Master Han Gaiu. Sudong frowned. It's not that Chushian Feng has a wide range of friends, but he doesn't have sword techniques. Yes. Chushian Feng doesn't like sword techniques. When a young man learns martial arts, it's like Chushian Feng looking for a woman. If he likes a woman, he will risk his life to get close to her. But if he doesn't like a woman, he won't even look at her. Chushian Feng is a literati. In addition to writing, literati also like to wear a long sword to pretend to be heroic. Sudong was helpless. He turned his head and looked at the wall. There was a long sword with a rather luxurious decoration hanging on it. This Chushian Feng is the best at swordsmanship. Chapter 613 The Great Dao. Chu Xianfeng is a man. Although he likes swordsmanship, he has not mastered the basic skills. Naturally, he has no fire at all. Although he has good comprehension and memory, his foundation is too poor, and he is destined to have no achievements in swordsmanship. This is a playboy. There are 3,000 great ways, and all laws are interconnected. I will first study the Chu family's demon breaking spear. My body is too poor, and the skills also need divine power and divine body to drive. Su shook his head. He recalled 3 exercises in his mind. Exercises are different from techniques. Powerful exercises are very important and extremely precious, because exercises can prolong life and lead to the great way. Therefore, the ancient country of Shenlong has strict control. Many sects and forces also have strict control. Before practicing, you must swear a poisonous oath, and you can't pass it on to others at all, even to your children and family members. Chu Xianfeng is lucky enough to have 3 top-notch skills. The first one is half of the overlord mysterious skill that the Chu ancestor taught him since he was a child. He made a rule that he would pass on the other half to Chu Xianfeng after he had mastered the spear skill. The second one is the Dream Infinite first chapter of the heart skill that Master Li Zuo taught him. When she taught him, she also carefully pointed out that this method can only be passed on to her future husband. As long as Chu Xianfeng is willing to stay with her for the rest of his life, he can learn all the methods. Of course, Su Dong can only feel sorry for Li Zuo's deep love. Chu Xianfeng never thought of growing old with her. A set of skills. Others may think it is valuable, but Chu Xianfeng doesn't care at all. The last type is entirely based on chance. Chu Xianfeng once painted a picture in the capital, and someone offered a huge sum of money to buy it. After he sold the picture, he gave all the money to a filial son, who was in urgent need of money, to treat his mother's illness. The filial son was grateful to him, and specially gave him a broken copy of the calligraphy album. He thought that the literati would like this kind of thing, so he gave it to Chu Xianfeng. But Chu Xianfeng didn't know. The filial son was a tomb robber, who did some things like digging up people's ancestral graves, and then he was extravagant, and committed many sins. When his mother was seriously ill, he was at a loss. Chu Xianfeng happened to appear. The filial son was illiterate, and felt that this broken copy was not as valuable as a gem, and he was grateful to Chu Xianfeng. So he gave it to Chu Xianfeng. Although Chu Xianfeng didn't like to practice, he read a lot of books, and had a wide range of knowledge. In addition, he also liked to study these calligraphy books. After studying, he actually discovered a method in this calligraphy book. Because it was incomplete, Chu Xianfeng named this technique himself. 22 Character Sutra. I have to say that Chu Xianfeng is very lucky. This 22 Character Sutra, even if it is incomplete, is better than the previous 2 techniques. Su Dong had a keen eye and could tell the pros and cons of the 3 techniques at a glance. The highest level of the Overlord Mysterious technique was Sainthood. It was not considered a Dao technique, but only an upper level. The Dream Infinite technique was also only an upper level. The reason why it was more peculiar and precious was that it followed the Dao of Heart and Desire, which was quite rare and least in conflict with other Daos. Only the 22 Character Sutra, even if it was incomplete, it still pointed directly to the Dao, and directly pointed to the Dao of Death and the Dao of Life and Death. Su Dong's attainment in the Dao of Death was so high. Just practice this 22 Character Sutra. Su Dong sat cross-legged on the bed. His hands were on his knees. The core data space was wrapped in a mysterious aura, and he could not absorb anything, so he naturally could not analyze it. But for his realm, the difference was not big. He started practicing immediately. One after another, crystal clear spiritual energy flows gathered into threads and slowly injected into Chu Xianfeng's body. Chu Xianfeng was tall and handsome, otherwise he wouldn't have attracted so many women to offer themselves to him. The Chu family covers an area of 10,000 miles, and is considered the largest family in this area. The ancestor is naturally needless to say. Under the ancestor, there are nearly 1,000 people in the main line of Chu Xianfeng's father. If a family wants to prosper, there will naturally be competition. The Chu family has been prosperous for 8,000 years. Now the Chu family is prosperous to the extreme. The more prosperous it is, the greater the benefits. The greater the benefits, Naturally, there will be disputes over the division of many interests within the family. Over the years, there have been countless open and secret struggles. For example, the position of the Chu family patriarch is elected every 10 years. When Chu Xianfeng's father took this position, he was very powerful and used some tricks. Just outside the Chu family, a huge crane flew from the eastern sky. Brother Chu, this is the Chu family? A clan that was canonized. It's really impressive. Two figures stood on the crane's back, a man and a woman. Both men and women had outstanding looks and temperament, and the woman leaned against the man, happily admiring the scenery below. Yes, this is the Chu family. The handsome man also smiled. My family's mansion is in that corner, the mansion in the south. It's a big mansion, but it seems a little deserted. The woman's eyes flashed with a divine light. As a cultivator who has achieved success in cultivation, his vision can see clearly, even if it penetrates 1,000 meters. Well, my father used to be a disciple of the Jinshan sword school, and his Jinshan swordsmanship swept away all enemies. He did a lot for the clan. He has a transcendent status in the clan, but 10 years ago, he competed for the position of clan leader. The handsome young man's eyes suddenly condensed. A hint of sinisterness appeared in his eyes. This book has been updated recently in .. Update. My father was poisoned. Half of his power was gone. He lost the qualification to compete for the clan leader, and he became depressed. The status of my family also plummeted. 10 years ago, Brother Chu. Jua remembers, you went to Shillong Mountain 9 years ago, right? The woman asked softly. Yes. I have been away from home for 10 years. I left home alone when I was only 13 years old. I experienced life and death several times in a year and finally joined Shillong Mountain. Now I'm back. The young man's eyes were shining, but his eyes were extremely cold. The eyes of the girl in his arms were slightly red. She could imagine. A young man who rarely left home, stepped out of the greenhouse alone, and went to the world to make a living. The road ahead is long, and one person walks alone. Brother Chu, you are now master of palm skills, and your strength is at the top of the Mahayana. You are just one step away from becoming a saint. Besides, I, the eldest lady of Shillong Mountain, will help you. You must get rid of that bad breath. Shijua said. Why did his brother Chu's father suddenly get poisoned 10 years ago? Who did it? Although there is no evidence, both of them are shrewd. Naturally, they know it very well. Haha, Chua, don't worry. The current head of the Chu family, my uncle Chu Boyang. He is resourceful, but is he strong? Chu Xiangxing sneered. Not worth mentioning. Shijua in his arms, glanced at her lover beside her with her beautiful eyes, her face full of sweet affection. Whoosh. The crane flew straight into the Chu family. In Chu Xianfeng's yard, because Chu Xianfeng has not married yet, he is still in his father's mansion. As for the two brothers, the eldest brother Chu Xianxing has already married. The second brother Chu Xianhong was secretly trained by the ancient country and was not allowed to return home without anything. Among the three sons of the Chu family, only Chu Xianfeng had just returned from a serious injury. In Chu Xianfeng's room, Su Dong was surrounded by strange scriptures, a total of 22 characters, which were the 22 characters of the true scripture that was being cultivated. Buzz buzz buzz. As Su Dong practiced the true scriptures, his skin and body began to emit a strange light, which was quite fascinating. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 614, 99 Demon Breaking Spear. The divine light appeared, indicating that there was a certain foundation for body training. The spiritual energy in this world was rich. Even if Chu Xianfeng had a very poor foundation, it was much stronger than the bodies of people in some small worlds in the Era Void. In addition, after the mysterious aura wrapped in Su Dong's data core descended on this body, Chu Xianfeng's body seemed to have been nourished by this mysterious aura. This mysterious aura is stimulated by the 3 life talisman, and this world is in the 3 life talisman. Su Dong clearly saw the 3000 dewdrops. For the time being, according to his understanding, the 3000 worlds are all in the 3 life talisman. then the mysterious aura stimulated by the 3 life talisman is probably extremely mysterious and extremely precious. It is a great thing to help nourish Chu Shai and Feng's body. Su Dong was naturally happy in his heart. It can save him a lot of time to polish the foundation of this body. And the 22 character true scripture. The more Su Dong practiced, the more strange it felt. Although this true scripture also contained the way of death, it pointed directly to the Great Way, but it was different from the one page of the death scripture he had studied in the past, the way of death in the Huangquan Shenzeng Sutra. It is the evolution of the mantra. The 22 characters, that is, the 22 mantras of the way of death, condense into the spirit of death. As Su Dong practiced, it was now a sunny day, and the room was full of sunlight, but the space around Su Dong was completely dark. It was absolutely dark, except for Su Dong's divine body itself emitting a faint light. Suddenly, all the darkness dissipated in an instant, and everything returned to normal. Su Dong opened his eyes. There was a look of unsatisfied in his eyes. The 3 life talisman can help me improve my Taoism and swordsmanship. How to improve? Naturally, it allows me to practice the methods of this world. Obviously, if this 22 character scripture is complete, it must be a practice that directly reaches the great Dao of the way of death. In this way, as long as it is verified with my Taoism, I can naturally reach the level of the Holy Spirit very quickly. Su Dong sighed. Unfortunately, things are not that simple. First of all, this 22 character scripture is incomplete. Where can I find the rest? Su Dong didn't know whether it had become a single copy long ago. Secondly, this world has extremely strict control over the practice, and it is not easy to get it. It is not easy to learn ordinary skills, let alone to choose the skills of the way of death that suit him. Take your time. This Chu Shai and Feng's life should be long. The good news is that the Dao skills in this world are indeed perfect, and it is easy for me to gain something. Gains are good. Gains mean that he is making progress. Now it is just the beginning, and he feels that he has gained something, and the future is naturally promising. I have practiced this 22 character fragment of the true scripture to the extreme. Now my divine body and divine power, and my realm are considered to have reached the Mahayana standard. Try other methods. After all, he is the 5-crown shuriken of Huangquan Daofu. He has a commanding position, and can practice quickly. Then he stretched out his hand. Choke. The long sword hanging on the wall was unsheathed, and flew into Su Dong's hands out of thin air. Try this dream-like infinite swordsmanship first. Su Dong held the sword, and walked out of the room. Outside the room, Su Dong waved the long sword in his hand. Although he practiced swordsmanship, swords are close-range weapons, and the techniques are very similar to each other, plus Su Dong's epic sword blood killing. The foundation of swordsmanship is naturally not bad, and when he uses swordsmanship, it is even more natural, and without any sense of stagnation. Fantasy infinite swordsmanship. It tends to be light and agile, and the sword light is hazy, overlapping and blocking in the sun, like a dream. This swordsmanship is strange and mysterious, but the power is too poor. Su Dong frowned. The flaws of this swordsmanship are too obvious. Simply talking about swordsmanship, it seems that the viewing effect is better than the actual combat effect. It is obviously a swordsmanship, but it is like a sword dance. Is it because I haven't practiced the fantasy infinite art? Su Dong guessed. The fantasy infinite art can guide you to the heart desire avenue. Although it is a great way, Su Dong has not studied it in the past. Try to practice the fantasy infinite art some other day. Su Dong said in his heart. He was quite curious about the heart desire avenue. Then practice another swordsmanship. Red moon swordsmanship. Swish. Su Dong held a long sword and performed many sword moves in the red moon swordsmanship. The sword flashed, fast and complicated. Generally, the simpler the sword, the better, but this red moon sword technique is extremely complicated, and it reveals a cruelty. Once you are stuck with this sword technique, the sword moves are endless, and the power is connected layer by layer, and it becomes more and more powerful in the later stages. The most powerful move of the red moon sword technique, red moon fall, is the simplest, but it is similar to the sword technique, and the power is the strongest. Unlike the fantasy Wuji sword technique, this red moon sword technique makes Su Dong practice it quite interesting. The last move even shows a hint of the sword technique. Cruel. The most important sword meaning of this last sword reveals a cruelty, so cruel that it is similar to the sword technique. Su Dong smiled. According to Chu Xianfeng's memory, the owner of this sword technique, named Master Han Gaiyu, is a woman who has never had any emotional experience. This book has been updated recently in .. Update. Without mastering the last sword intention, this nun's attainment in swordsmanship is just average. However, after experiencing Chu Xianfeng, she should be able to master the ruthless artistic conception of the last sword. In just a moment, Su Dong completely learned the two swordsmanship, especially the last sword of the Red Moon sword. But Su Dong felt that it was quite unique. However, these swordsmanship are too weak. They are not yet at the level of kendo. Not to mention that they can improve his swordsmanship. Practice spearmanship. Spearmanship contains a domineering artistic conception, and Mai Xian Weishan swordsmanship is also a domineering swordsmanship. There is a weapon rack in the courtyard. There is a long spear on the weapon rack. Su Dong made a move and the long spear flew into his hand. The demon breaking spear is the spearmanship that the Chu family's ancestor is proud of. There are 9 styles in total. When the ancestor passed on the 9 styles to the clan members, he even said that each of these 9 styles can theoretically be extended to 9 styles. They are collectively called the 9 demon breaking spears. This devil breaking spear technique was definitely not created by the Chu clan's ancestor, but was learned from someone else. The spear technique is domineering and powerful, and the artistic conception is long lasting. Su Dong performed the first move, the air breaking stab. This stab is the generalization of all the spear techniques with stabs in the entire spear technique, and all the Dao contained in it are the same. A spear was thrust out. Boom. The airflow in front was instantly stirred by the spear tip, forming a tornado-like cyclone. Puff it drilled into a stone wall in the courtyard. The devil breaking spear is a spear technique, which is extremely popular in the Chu clan. Even children can practice it, but many people gave up in the end and practiced something else. Even Su Dong's 2 brothers did not have any success in spear techniques. This devil breaking spear looks very rough and simple, but as soon as Su Dong got started, a trace of joy suddenly appeared on his face. This devil breaking spear, the spear Dao contained in it, is still a very domineering spear Dao. Dao is not complicated at the beginning. It often starts out simple and becomes more complicated as time goes on. And the real Dao is there, which is to be great and simple. Although Su Dong practiced the sword technique is known as the most terrifying sword technique in the void, and the Yama sword is even more murderous, both of which are extremely offensive sword techniques. So when Su Dong practiced the demon breaking spear, he immediately felt extraordinary and learned by analogy. He instantly touched the spear path contained in the demon breaking spear. Each spear has 9 styles, but there is only one spear technique, then the other 8 styles. Su Dong immediately became interested. This most widely circulated and seemingly ordinary spear technique of the Chu family is the most extraordinary technique Su Dong has encountered. After browsing all the memories of Chu Xianfeng, it can pass through the spear path of the 3000 small paths. Although it's a bit watery, it's the 3rd update. Chapter 615 Su Dong's goal. The first move evolves into 9 moves. Should it be like this? Su Dong performed his spear skills in the courtyard. The spear in his hand was like a black snake, stabbing forward in an instant. He practiced 9 kinds of piercing methods in a row, all of which were fully understood and performed. After all, Su Dong's understanding of the way of death was higher. Using the great Dao to explain the changes of the small Dao, it was natural to grasp it, and he easily practiced the first spear. Then practiced the second move, the third move, 9 moves in a row, 9 changes. Until all 99 and 81 spear skills were fully understood. Time had passed in less than an hour. There were black winds swelling in the courtyard. Su Dong put away his spear and stood in the courtyard. There was a faint surprise in his eyes. This spear skill, the domineering artistic conception contained, is extremely similar to Mai Xian Weishan Dao method, and I practice it even more perfectly. In less than an hour, he practiced this demon breaking spear to the extreme, and it can be said that he completely mastered the spear way contained in the demon breaking spear. It cannot be said that he has completely mastered a small path, but he has also reached the level of a small path. I was able to cultivate this spear technique so quickly because it fits my artistic conception perfectly. But this spear technique and spear path, the avenue that it ultimately wants to explain, is not the avenue of life and death, but more like the avenue of the universe. Sudong thought to himself. The 3000 small paths are all techniques. The existence of small paths is to achieve the avenue. The real purpose of this 99 demon breaking spear is the avenue of the universe. When the spear technique is used to the extreme, the entire area within a radius of several dozen feet is full of spear shadows. The 9981 spear techniques, when used to the extreme, are to cover the space, safely cover the space, and have absolute control over the space. Although the most powerful one of the 81 spear techniques is only to affect the entire space, it is a foundation for the extension of the small path to the avenue of the universe. But it is still extraordinary. My Xian Luo Wang Xiang body technique has affected time and space since the beginning. It is much more advanced than this 99 demon breaking spear. However, because it affects time and space at the same time, it is also twice as difficult to go further. The space explained by this demon breaking spear is completely locked. Sudong stood there silently. The Xian Luo Wang Xiang body skill was created by Sudong while digging out the Daoist cannon. The foundation and intention are extremely high because it is self-created and there is no guidance from predecessors. It can be said that Sudong's body skills have long been trapped in shackles. In the past, he had some understanding of this unique body skill by watching the 6 Tiger Shura King's body skills. Then he looked at the body skills of the Shura King of the Yama Palace and refined them. Until now, there has been no breakthrough. In history, there are countless people who have made achievements in digging out the Daoist cannon in the Daoist cannon. Some have made higher achievements and created supreme magic skills, but how many people have finally perfected their magic skills? The Yama sword of the Shura King of the Yama Palace is one of them. But how many Yama Palace Shura Kings are there in the entire Huangquan Daofu? This 99 demon breaking spear is just the most basic universe avenue. What Sudong is most concerned about now is the avenue of life and death, and the avenue of the universe. These two supreme avenues are closely related to him. But the pure technique is far from the level of my swordsmanship. Sudong's Xian Weishan swordsmanship and Yan Luo swordsmanship have long been their own little ways. In terms of swordsmanship, there is probably no one in the world who can compare with him. Anyway, in Chu Xianfeng's memory, he has never seen a real swordsman. This Chu Xianfeng is a playboy, and his vision is still short. Not to mention that he is only 17 years old this year. Sudong shook his head. How high can Chu Xianfeng's vision be? He is just a frog in the well who has just started out. He has only heard some legends. Perhaps the sword saint of the northern ice country can match my swordsmanship, and the sword demon of the spirit race in the secret place. Sudong guessed that these two were the two most respected top sword masters in Chu Xianfeng's memory. Of course, it was only limited to legends. The sword saint rose from an ordinary mortal body, one man and one sword, and established the Ice Kingdom in the extremely cold north. The territory of the Ice Kingdom is not large, but it is full of a group of hard-working practitioners, each of whom is extremely powerful. Because of the gathering of strong people, the Ice Kingdom is naturally recognized as a major holy place for cultivation in the hearts of practitioners in the world. It is said that no matter how young, everyone who comes out of the Ice Kingdom in the north is extremely powerful. The Spirit Clan Sword Demon, because they are spirits, the news is all legends, and no one has ever seen them, because everyone who has seen them is dead. There are only rumors about the spirits. It is said that he is a powerful spirit who was born with the sword, leading the spirits to establish a secret place, which makes the world's strong people very afraid. These are all legends for a long time, and a long time has passed. I'm afraid that these two swords have made further progress, and their power may be comparable to the Great Dao. If possible, sparring with these two will be of great help to my swordsmanship. Sudong thought, but now that his core data space is blocked, the effect of sparring will definitely not be as good as before, so if he wants to have a big harvest, he has to find a way to get the swordsmanship insights of these two. It is quite difficult. Find these two, wait until my physical strength reaches at least the Xian Qi level. The poor divine body also has a huge impact on the display of strength. With his current appearance in front of the two, I'm afraid that any one of the two can crush him with power. I need a powerful technique in this world. This 22 character scripture can't bring me to the Cheyenne key level. I also need powerful techniques. Sudong thought silently. This is what he will do next. This book has been updated recently in update. But the difficulty is not low. Sudong was thinking, and suddenly raised his eyebrows. Although his soul was restricted, he could still hear the sounds within a radius of several miles. Just outside his yard, two tall and beautiful women came with fine wine and delicious food. Young Master Cheyenne Feng hasn't been back for a long time, and when he came back, he was seriously injured. You and I must perform well. If we perform well, the young master will be happy, and the reward we give you and me will be enough for our parents to overcome the difficulties in business. The beautiful woman in green clothes chuckled. Don't worry, sister, it's not the first day for you and me to serve the young master. In addition to being lustful, the young master is also easy to coax. The woman in pink smiled sweetly. By the way, how is the progress between you and young Master Cheyenne Luo recently? The green clothed woman reminded. This Chu Cheyenne Feng used to be the first choice of you and me, but he is too philandering and not a good match. Young Master Cheyenne Luo is loyal and hardworking. You have to put more thought into it and firmly grasp young Master Cheyenne Luo's heart. Don't worry, sister. I'm sure of it. The pink woman was full of confidence. The two little girls of the Nangang family? Sudong had no expression on his face. The Nangang family, which depends on the Chu family for survival, does a good business. In the early years, they gave both sisters to Chu Cheyenne Feng. The elder sister and Chu Cheyenne Feng had a ridiculous time, but Chu Cheyenne Feng was so philandering that how could he stay with only one maid, Nangang Yan? As for the younger sister, Nangang Yu, because the elder sister always protected her well in front of Chu Cheyenne Feng, she was not abused by Chu Cheyenne Feng. The two sisters are also active. The Nangang family depends on the Chu family for existence, so they naturally try every means to hook up with the children of the Chu family. The elder sister Nangang Yan doesn't want to do it anymore. Nangang Yu thinks Chu Cheyenne Feng is unreliable, so she naturally finds a new home. Chu Cheyenne Feng doesn't really like them, and they don't really like Chu Cheyenne Feng either. Sudong said silently. The courtyard door opened, and Nangang Yan and Nangang Yu walked in. At a glance, they saw the figure standing in the courtyard. Young master. The eyes of the two women were slightly bright. They came to see the young master yesterday, and the young master was still lying on the bed with a breath of air. Can he get out of bed today? Liu's prescription is indeed effective. Young master's injury has improved so quickly. Nangang Yan was delighted from the bottom of her heart. Yes. Sudong nodded slightly. But in his heart he thought, is the prescription good? If the prescription was good, your third young master Chu would not have died. Chapter 616. The different third master Chu. HMM. Young master. Nangang Yan's eyes turned. Girls are very sensitive, and she and Chu Cheyenne Feng are actually husband and wife. She immediately realized that young master Chu Cheyenne Feng in front of her seemed to have changed after being seriously injured this time. He has become more indifferent to me. That's right. I heard that he was having affairs with other women outside and had a relationship with the third most beautiful woman in the world. Naturally, he would look down on a vulgar woman like me. Nangang Yan sighed in her heart. She was not talented in cultivation, but she was good at poetry and songs. She had once devoted all her attention to Chu Cheyenne Feng. She thought he was her beloved, but later she realized that it was completely her own wishful thinking. How could Chu Cheyenne Feng marry her? Even as a concubine, she was afraid that she would not be able to get it. So she gave up hope. Seeing Sudong at this moment, Nangang Yan's first feeling was that Sudong was much more indifferent to her. Secondly, she found that he was also much more indifferent to his sister. What he couldn't get was fresh. Chu Cheyenne Feng used to covet Nangang Yu. But this time, young master, the way you look at Jua is not right. Is he more indifferent than to me? Nangang Yan's heart moved. Nangang Yu was younger, and her mind was not as sharp as her sister. At this moment, she had already trotted all the way, and ran to Sudong with great joy, smiling like a flower. Young master, Jua misses you so much. She seemed to want to get into Chu Xianfeng's arms, but she held back. Keep a distance. Su Dong smiled. Of the two sisters, Nangang Yan was generous, with a hint of dignity, while Nangang Yu was a little immature, with a pretty face and a pair of beautiful eyes, which were also very attractive. It's no wonder that Chu Xianfeng always wanted to make a move on this sister. The two sisters were not bad to Chu Xianfeng, and Su Dong had nothing to say. Chu Xianfeng was gone, and he should treat the people around him well. Ju, long time no see, I'll give you a gift. Su Dong smiled. He reached into his sleeve and took out a piece of his hand. This cuff is special. People who practice cultivation, rich people call it kun sleeve. There is a space inside. It is very convenient to put some money. Chu Xianfeng, this dandy, is not completely dandy. He has extraordinary literary talent. Plus there are people who admire him. Some calligraphy and paintings are still very valuable. So even if he spends money like water, he still has some money, plus he likes to chase after the birds. Naturally he can't do without jewelry and the like. He casually took out a rosewood box. The box is exquisite and elegant, very generous. Thank you, sir. Jua knows that you are the best to Jua. Nangang Yu took it quickly. She opened the box. In the box lay a string of purple crystal necklaces. Purple crystals, in this world, are luxury gems played by the upper class, and there is a lavender light flowing in it, which is very beautiful. Ah, this purple crystal necklace is so beautiful. Nangang Yu was stunned. She has never had such expensive jewelry since she was a child. Chu Xianfeng would never give such expensive jewelry as a reward in the past. No, Jua, this necklace is too expensive. Return it to the young master quickly. Nangang Yan was also stunned for a moment before she came back to her senses. She urged. Although she didn't know much about the market, she felt that this necklace was probably worth tens of thousands of taels of gold, or even more expensive. Nangang Yu was very reluctant to part with it, and looked at Su Dong. Take it. Su Dong smiled. Then he waved his hand. Jaina, this is yours. He flipped his hand, and took out another good collection of Chu Xianfeng. Anyway, it's not his, so he didn't feel sorry at all. Nangang Yan took the same exquisite and elegant wooden box in a daze. Young master, did you give it to me? Nangang Yan was a little dazed. The first few times, the young master was afraid that she would pester him when he saw her, and he avoided her a little. She didn't dare to be too intimate, for fear that Chu Xianfeng would feel disgusted. This time he actually took the initiative to give her a gift. Thank you, young master. Nangang Yan saluted. Maybe I got the moon's help. She didn't think of opening it, but hesitated for a moment before putting it away in her sleeve. But Nangang Yu beside her quickly reached out and grabbed it. Sister, look at what treasure the young master gave you. Nangang Yu opened the wooden box, and a rather neat white jade pendant lay in the wooden box. The jade pendant was shining, full of spiritual energy, and even contained strange mysteries. It was not an ordinary item at first glance. Is this spiritual jade? Nangang Yu's eyes widened, full of envy. Spiritual jade? Nangang Yan was also full of shock. Spiritual jade is a treasure for people who practice cultivation. It is very precious and helpful for cultivation. Ordinary people have various magical effects when wearing it. Young master, I can't take this spiritual jade. It will be more useful to you. Nangang Yan said anxiously. She really thought of Chu Xianfeng in her heart. Su Dong could only sigh for Chu Xianfeng. A good woman was beside him, but he didn't know how to cherish her. He just liked to be used and designed by others outside, and even gave up his life. Take it if I give it to you. Su Dong's face changed slightly, his smile disappeared, and he pretended to be angry. Yes. Nangang Yan quickly put it away, fearing that she would disobey Chu Xianfeng. Although Su Dong's face was ugly, her heart was warm. Seeing him put it away, Su Dong's expression eased. The purple crystal necklace given to Nangang Yu is a luxury item. It is also worth tens of thousands of taels of gold. But the spiritual jade given to Nangang Yan is not just a luxury item, it is a treasure. In some small families, it can be regarded as an heirloom. After all, Nangang Yan really loves Chu Xianfeng, and Chu Xianfeng owes her a lot. This can be regarded as Su Dong's compensation for him. "Sir, I made your favorite cakes for you. Please try them." Nanganyu picked up the food box in her hand. She said flatteringly, "This book has been updated recently in @@@@@@. Update. No need, Jua, you go back first. Jaina, come with me to see my father," Sudong said with a smile. Nanganyu was startled. Yes. Nanganyan hurriedly followed. Although they were surprised by their young master's words, they were of low status after all, so they dared not say much. Walking out of the courtyard, Sudong looked at Nanganyan next to him. "Jaina, I heard that Jua has been very close to Cheyenne Luo recently," Sudong said casually. Nanganyan's beautiful eyes suddenly widened. "Cheyenne Luo is loyal and has a good temper. He is a good match. Don't let Jua come to me in the future." Sudong's voice was flat. This, isn't it too hasty? Jua and young master Cheyenne Luo. Nanganyan's mind was in chaos. After all, they were Chu Xianfeng's maids, and theoretically they were all Chu Xianfeng's people. Who passed these words to Chu Xianfeng? Let Jua collect her thoughts and serve Cheyenne Luo well. Sudong glanced at Nanganyan. His eyes were deep. Nanganyan's body trembled slightly. "Yes, young master. Let's go. Let's go see my father. Did my father suffer a little when he took the road to Cheyenne Mountain this time?" Sudong walked in front. Nanganyan followed obediently with her head down. She was a little lost. She felt that the young master in front of her had changed a lot this time. She didn't know whether it was good or bad, but he was good enough to her and her sisters. But she was afraid and a little panicked in her heart. She felt that Chu Xianfeng in front of her was unfathomable and was completely different from the playful and lustful young man in the past. Chu Boyang's courtyard, in the study. Sudong stood obediently in the study, looking at the middle-aged man with a sullen face behind the desk, who was playing with an iron rod in his hand. Chu Boyang was a combative person, ruthless and cunning, but in Chu Xianfeng's memory, this father was extremely fond of the three brothers, especially the third son, and was extremely doting on him. "Bastard, are you alive again?" Chu Boyang looked at Sudong coldly with disgust on his face. "Thanks to the boss of Killian Luna for the reward. Danki has some work to do, so I can only update twice. Although it's still a bit watery. But Danki will try to update 3 times when he has time." Chapter 617. Chu Family Storm. Sudong could only touch the back of his head and smile. Chu Xianfeng's mother died when he was young, and he followed this father since he was young. Although his father Chu Boyang taught his 3 sons very strictly, he was the most strict with his eldest son Chu Xiansheng, and the second son was much less disciplined. When it came to Chu Xianfeng, he was almost indulged, pampering. So Chu Xianfeng was not afraid of this father in his memory, but in his heart, Chu Xianfeng respected his father very much. Whether it was strength or strategy, Chu Boyang was highly respected by Chu Xianfeng. This time when he was walking outside, although he was jealous outside, Chu Xianfeng was able to be used by others. It was also from the news that Chu Boyang seemed to have suffered some losses at home, and he was worried and irritable in his heart, so he fell into the trap. Many times, Chu Xianfeng often blamed himself in his heart, blaming himself for not being able to solve his father's problems. The mind of a young man always doesn't work hard when he should, indulges himself, but desires strong strength to bear greater responsibilities. Since I have become Chu Xianfeng, I can be considered to have lived this life for him. Chu Boyang is a bit cruel, but he has no choice but to do so. He has never bullied the weak or killed innocent people. After all, Sudong is not a young junior. His will is so firm. He has strict standards for good and evil. Chu Xianfeng's memory? It is just for him to understand this world, and naturally cannot have any influence on his will. Chu Boyang is cruel to some competitors. His methods are a bit cruel. He is a great hero, but he is not a murderous person. Even if his competitors fall, he will not do anything to involve the other party's wife and children. For this reason, for Chu Xianfeng's affection, Sudong also recognized the father-son relationship. That's why he came to see this father. Seeing Chu Xianfeng like this, Chu Boyang's anger was half gone. To be honest, he was happiest to see this kid standing in front of him again. After all, Chu Xianfeng's dead look when he was brought back really frightened him. He was afraid that his third son would die just like that. In order to save Chu Xianfeng, he even used several large spiritual objects that he had hidden. Finally, he survived. Bastard, you don't think about making progress all day long. It's okay to eat, drink and have fun. I have told you many times to be careful when you go out and treat people with kindness. Do you think everyone cares about the Chu family? If you provoke someone you shouldn't provoke, your death will be in vain. Chu Boyang's face was cold and his eyes swept Sudong fiercely. Yes, this time I didn't expect that the second Sun Kin would be so cruel, Sudong said, but a sharp light flashed in his eyes. After all, they were young and frivolous, all hot-blooded teenagers of 17 or 18 years old. It was normal to be jealous, but the second Sun Kin was really cruel. If the guards hadn't been slow to rescue him, Chu Xianfeng would have died on the spot. Even if he didn't die at that time, the second Sun Kin still did it. The bloodthirsty poison was planted to take Chu Xianfeng's life. Chu Xianfeng was good at chasing after women, but he was never so cruel. He was just a fool who met a serious and ruthless person like the second son of Qin. Chu Boyang glanced at his son in front of him coldly. Waste, you were just joking with others, but they wanted your life. This time, don't say you are fine, you will die on the spot. What, do you still expect our Chu family to settle accounts with the Qin family? Humph. You are not worthy. Chu Boyang showed no mercy to Chu Xianfeng. Sudong could only curl his lips. If he really wants to settle accounts, he will do it himself, and there is no need to rely on others. Dad, you are still talking about me. What's wrong with you? Isn't the road in Cheyenne Mountain always peaceful? Sudong looked at Chu Boyang's drooping right arm. His eyes flashed slightly. Why did you suffer this time? You still care about me? Chu Boyang glanced at his son. Although this prodigal son has no future, he has a conscience. His expression became much more relaxed. There is nothing absolutely safe in the world. Nothing happened in the past because we were strong and others didn't dare to mess with us. Now the times are different. There is a gang called Xianhu Gang in Cheyenne Mountain. Chu Boyang subconsciously touched his drooping right arm with his left hand, his face solemn. This time, my father fell into their hands. Xianhu Gang. Sudong pondered. I haven't heard of this gang in Cheyenne Mountain before. Humph, cultivators also need a lot of money. There are always some strong people in this world. They may come from schools, sects, or have adventures. There is no eternal strong person. The strong prey on the weak. The world changes very fast. Chu Boyang stared at Sudong. Sudong could only nod. This old father never forgot to teach him all the time. If you want money, how do you get it? Naturally, you have to rob it with your strength. In the past, they robbed others, not our Chu family. Now they even rob our Chu family, so naturally I will fall. This is the reality. The strong are respected. Then find a way to wipe out this Xianhu gang. Sudong said casually. Nangang Yan lowered her head and stood aside. She couldn't help sweating when she heard her son's words. The gang that can hurt the master can be destroyed just like that. Pa. Chu Boyang pretended to spit at his son. Destroyed the Xianhu gang. Who do you think you are? It's easy to say. Let me tell you. The three leaders of the Xianhu gang. Each of them has the top strength of the Mahayana. They have many means. I'm no match for them, unless the ancestor takes action. Chu Boyang waved his hand. The ancestor will not take action for a gang. Don't worry. The Chu family is so huge. The ancestor of the Chu family is now more focused on practicing to impact the Xianqi realm and practicing the gun way. He has long ignored the trivial matters of the family. Dad, I know I can't rely on the ancestor. Don't worry, that kind of bandit will be rampant and tyrannical, and it won't last long. Sudong said softly. Humph. Dare to block our Chu family's way. Our Chu family is not easy to mess with. Chu Boyang shook his head. This book has been updated recently in .. Update. Although he had the intention to kill, he had no choice but to not have any strong men under his command. No one was around. It would be great if your second brother was here. With Xianhong's help, things would be much easier. Among his three sons, Chu Xianhong was the most talented, and his strength had already surpassed his elder brother Chu Xiancheng. After his elder brother Chu Xiansheng got married and started a family, he was busy with his own affairs, and Chu Boyang rarely summoned this eldest son. The weakest one was Chu Xianfeng, but he was right beside him now. But what's the use? Just don't cause trouble for him. Chu Boyang glanced at Chu Xianfeng with annoyance. Su Dong stood opposite him calmly. He knew that Chu Boyang despised Chu Xianfeng for being useless. Report to the master. A clan member stepped onto the Dengwente to cause trouble. Suddenly, a servant's urgent voice came from outside the study. Dengwente? Su Dong and Chu Boyang's faces changed slightly. Nangang Yan also looked surprised. Dengwente was founded by the ancestor of the Chu family. When a clan member disagrees with the current clan leader, he can challenge the clan leader through the Dengwente arena. I'll go and take a look. Chu Boyang was mature and steady after all, so he immediately regained his composure and walked out of the study. Young master. Nangang Yan was a little nervous. Who is the uncle who challenged the clan leader on the Dengwente? My father is injured now, so why challenge him now? Su Dong frowned. Isn't this taking advantage of someone's misfortune? Let's go and take a look. He looked calm and took Nangang Yan and quickly followed Chu Boyang to the outside of the mansion. Chapter 689 Light and One Day. The Chu clan is a large clan in this area. They have lived here for thousands of years, and their descendants have multiplied to form a city. Dengwente is located in the city. Going to Dengwente is a big event. Since this matter has reached the ears of the clan leader, it will naturally spread throughout the Chu clan. So many Chu clan members gathered in the center of the clan city, looking at the huge arena in the center. Many clan members, some with surprised faces, some with solemn faces, all looked at the figure on the huge arena in front of them. Whose kid is that? So young, dare to go to Dengwente? Openly resisting the clan leader. If he can't give a reason, he is not afraid that the clan elders will beat him to death. The kid from the Bokeh family. I know him. His name is Xian Kuang. Chu Xian Kuang? He is Xian Kuang? Many clan members were noisy, and many of them were familiar with each other. They all showed surprise, and some showed understanding in their eyes. Chu Boyang and Chu Bokeh, the two direct descendants of the Chu family, also knew a lot of their grievances in the past, but Chu Xian Kuang was only a boy of 12 or 13 years old when he left home. 10 years have passed. That boy is back. I remember that, when he was young, Xian Kuang was very strong-willed, had a high talent for cultivation, and was very smart. Now that he has grown up, I feel that he has a powerful aura. When I see him from afar, he is amazing. There were discussions and praises. Su Dong followed Chu Boyang to the arena. Patriarch. Master. Many figures saluted. Chu Xianfeng. There were several famous beauties in the Chu family. The eyes they looked at Su Dong were not so friendly. After all, Chu Xianfeng had written some messy love poems to harass them in the past. Some of them were really moved, but it was a pity that their true feelings were wasted. Our third master Chu has hurt many women. Chu Xianfeng, you have made me lose face among all the sisters, and you dare to appear in front of me? A woman with a cold expression sent a message to Su Dong. Su Dong was calm. He stood quietly behind Chu Boyang. Nangang Yan did not dare to look up, and stood obediently beside Su Dong. Chu Boyang, come up and fight me. Chu Xiankuang stood alone on the stage. He was dressed in black, and had an upright figure. What a good boy. At this moment, he was looking at Chu Boyang with lightning eyes. He shouted directly. How dare you? How disgraceful to call the clan leader by his name like this. At the front of the crowd, several old men walked out, each of them staring at Chu Xiankuang on the stage with angry eyes. They were clan elders, and they could also preside over the clan's major events. And to be able to become clan elders, each of them was also successful in cultivation, and naturally had a strong aura. But Chu Xiankuang was not afraid. Standing by the stage was a pretty girl with an extraordinary temperament, looking at the many clan elders and Chu Boyang with a sneer. Brother Chu said that it is in accordance with the rules to challenge the clan leader on the stage. What? Are you biased towards that clan leader? The girl spoke. Her voice was particularly attractive. Several clan elders looked at each other. They were all very knowledgeable, and naturally realized that the girl's origin was probably extraordinary. For a moment, he didn't know how to talk to this outsider. Many of the Chu family's children secretly looked at the girl, and they felt that she was like a fairy descending to the earth. Her temperament was too outstanding and elegant. Sudong also glanced at the girl. She was full of spiritual energy and her cultivation was extraordinary. It is indeed in accordance with the rules. Chu Boyong stepped forward. His voice was louder than everyone else. He looked at the young man on the stage with a serious look. Who are you? Chu Boke's son, Chu Xiankuang. Chu Xiankuang shouted in a low voice, and his voice rumbled and spread, seeming to overwhelm Chu Boyong. Chu Xiankuang? Sudong narrowed his eyes slightly. Xiankuang? I understand. Is it Boke's intention for you to come here today? Chu Boyong smiled, looking at Chu Xiankuang on the stage. His eyes were unclear. Chu Boyong. Chu Xiankuang looked at Chu Boyong. His eyes were full of murderous intent and disgust. His father was seriously injured, the family's status plummeted, and now he is even more depressed, all thanks to Chu Boyong. Dare to mention his father? I won't say anything else. The strong are respected. The ancestors even left the clan rules. If you are strong, you can challenge the clan leader. Today I will challenge you. Do you dare to come up and fight me? Fight me. Fight. Chu Xiankuang's voice contained a strong divine power and spread throughout the city. It hit the high walls in the city and echoed continuously. Many eyes couldn't help but look at Chu Boyong. Dengwen Te can challenge the clan leader. This is the clan rule. It just didn't happen in the past, but it happened now. Sir, this Chu Xiankuang actually wants to challenge the master? Nangang Yan's eyes widened. The Chu family is a big family. She couldn't understand what happened in the big family. She thought the clan leader was the biggest and most powerful. It should be a grudge in the past. Sudong responded in a low voice. Then he stepped forward. At this time, Chu Boyong spoke. Haha, Boke gave birth to a good son. Okay, I will. He was about to accept the challenge. But suddenly his right arm was pulled by someone. Looking back, it was Sudong. This book has been recently updated on #at. Update. Xianfeng? Chu Boyong was stunned, then whispered, don't worry, this is Dad's business. It has nothing to do with you. Dad, how sure are you that you can win? Sudong asked in a low voice. Many eyes were looking at the father and son. Everyone was surprised. Chu Xiankuang sneered on the stage. Chu Boyong choked, looked at Chu Xiankuang on the stage, and then shook his head silently. To be honest, I'm not sure at all. The Yangtze River's back waves push the front waves. This Chu Xiankuang dared to challenge on the Dengwen stage. He must be sure of winning. It's time to settle some of the grievances of the past. Fenja, your father's position as the patriarch. Today is the end. Sudong smiled. What Chu Boyong said was indeed the truth. A young man is afraid of a fist. Chu Xiankuang dared to take action. He must have achieved success in cultivation, and his momentum is full. If Chu Boyong was not injured now, he might still be able to give it a try. But to make matters worse, Chu Boyong was still injured, and the situation was even more dangerous. I understand. Then let the son fight for the father in today's battle. Sudong smiled. Chu Boyong stared. Nangang Yan, who was following Sudong, also stared. But before Chu Boyong could react, Sudong had already taken a step forward, then took a deep breath, and leaped onto the Dengwen stage. Suddenly, everyone was in an uproar. Chu Xiankuang on the stage and the smart girl next to the stage were also surprised. Countless eyes were looking at Chu Xianfeng on the stage. What? Chu Xiankuang had returned from his studies and wanted to seek justice for his father. Chu Xianfeng also followed his example and went up to fight for his father. Who are you? Chu Xiankuang looked at the young man in front of him. Chu Xianfeng. Sudong had a calm face. That dandy? Chu Xiankuang smiled. Sudong was silent. The crowd went wild. What? What's this for? Haha, this Chu Xianfeng, is he going to fight for his father too? Don't tease me, just based on his mediocre kung fu. Many men and women in the crowd laughed. Especially the beauties who had been hurt by Chu Xianfeng in the past. All of them gnashed their teeth. I heard that this unfaithful man was seriously injured in a fight with others. I thought it was a rumor when I saw it just now, but now it seems that he hurt his brain. The sneers were endless, and Sudong had no choice. There was no way Chu Xianfeng's reputation was too bad. He could only choose to ignore it. Come down, Fenja. Come down quickly. Chu Boyang shouted. Don't worry, Dad, I read hundreds of books and realized the truth in one day. This Chu Xiankang is not my opponent. Sudong laughed. This time he deliberately said it loudly. Everyone who heard it was stunned. Some were surprised, some were hesitant, and some were full of doubt. In short, their expressions were different. They just looked at the third son of Chu on the stage pretending to be cool. Chapter 619 Chu Wanku explodes. There is a golden house in books. Reading hundreds of books and digging into the Taoist scriptures, there are indeed legends in the history of the world. It is said that in ancient times, there was a civil servant named Pangse who was poor and could only read books for half his life, but he realized the truth overnight and had a promising future. He became a dazzling and powerful person at that time. But this is just a legend. Chu Xianfeng is a dandy boy who likes to stay in the place of fireworks and can only pretend to be elegant. He can also read the Taoist scriptures and realize the truth overnight. Who is he trying to fool? Too pretentious. This Chu Xianfeng, is he looking for a ravage? Xian Kuang, do it. Teach Chu Xianfeng a lesson. A group of men and women who have long disliked Chu Xianfeng shouted. Haha, Chu Xianfeng, I heard about you when I was away, one of the 4 sons of Shenlang. Chu Xiankuang laughed. There was a hint of teasing in his eyes as he looked ahead. Go down now. Let your father come up. There's still time. No need to say more. Sudong's face was calm, and his voice was cold. Just do it. Then I'll send you down. Chu Xiankuang was too lazy to talk too much. Since he didn't listen to his advice, he would just be blasted off the stage. Suddenly, his palm waved in the air, and a powerful palm force slapped out horizontally. It swept towards Sudong directly. What a strong palm force. Good at palm techniques? Several elders and knowledgeable strong men changed their faces slightly. This Chu Xiankuang has indeed cultivated successfully. Top Mahayana. Chu Boyang's heart skipped a beat. Young master. Nangang Yan's face was also pale. Go. Sudong pointed directly to the front, and suddenly the divine power of his fingertips flashed, like a cold death light. He poked directly at the powerful palm force. Finger technique? Chu Xiankuang sneered. Finger techniques are feminine, and not suitable for head-on confrontation. This Chu Xianfeng may have too little experience in fighting. Just go down obediently. The powerful palm force and the cold finger light collided instantly. Puff. The finger that seemed to be a gentle death ray instantly penetrated the powerful palm force. Not good. Chu Xiankuang's face suddenly changed. His body shape suddenly changed. He swung to the side like a swimming dragon. The finger light that penetrated the palm force brushed his shoulder and shot away. Chu Xiankuang took several steps back before he stood still and then looked at Chu Xianfeng in front of him with disbelief. What a strong finger force, breaking my palm method with finger force. He is good at palm method, which points directly to the avenue. Although he just made a casual move just now, it was broken by a finger force. This method of using 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds is also amazing. Brother Chu. Shijua's beautiful eyes widened. She knew her brother Chu's strength very well. He could rank first among the contemporary disciples of Shillong Mountain. But the young man named Chu Xianfeng was also very weird. She couldn't tell what kind of finger method he was using. How could a casual finger be so powerful? Haha, Chu Xianfeng, it seems that everyone has underestimated you. Among the younger generation of the Chu family, your talent is probably the best. Chu Xiankuang laughed after being surprised. He is now over 23 years old, which is considered young, but Chu Xianfeng will be only 18 years old soon. At the age of 18, he has such fingering skills and such strength. Incredible. In the past, I only heard that Chu Xianhan was extremely talented. I didn't expect that Chu Xianfeng was more talented. Young master. Nangang Yan was completely stunned. That was a young master? Fenja. Chu Boyang stared even more. Is this still his son who is lustful, lazy, and good at eating? Take another finger from me. Sudong's face was calm. Fighting with this Chu Xiankuang. Defeating the opponent is secondary. The most important thing is to observe the Tao he has mastered. He poked the index finger of his right hand forward, and a dark force suddenly appeared. The dark force flashed and arrived in front of Chu Xiangkang. Chu Xiangkang waved his palms. Dragon palm. Boom, boom, boom. As his palm technique was activated, a series of fierce and domineering dragon-shaped energy appeared on the entire ring, and the majestic dragon-shaped energy instantly swept Sudong's finger force. Sudong immediately flicked his fingertips, and a series of cold and domineering finger forces burst out like thunder and rain, violently colliding with the dragon-shaped energy. Is his palm technique also pointing to the great way of the universe? As soon as they fought, Sudong felt it and confirmed each other, and immediately found that the Dao contained in Chu Xiangkang's palm technique and the 9-9 demon breaking spear was extremely similar. While Sudong was sensing, he fired his finger force continuously, completely suppressing Chu Xiangkang in the fight. He defeated Chu Xiangkang in a short time and slowly stimulated his finger force. Observe Chu Xiangkang's palm technique carefully. After all, a complete and powerful palm technique naturally has its unique features. But being suppressed like this, Chu Xiangkang was anxious. Every time I feel that Chu Xianfeng's finger technique has reached its limit, it will improve again. Always suppress me. After a little thought, Chu Xiangkang suddenly felt that the opponent in front of him was just teasing him, and his pride suddenly rose. Chu Xianfeng, look at the magic weapon. Chu Xiangkang roared fiercely, and golden light shone between his hands, and a pair of magic gloves of Lin Bao Bao appeared directly. This book has been updated recently in Update. The gloves were the size of a cat tail leaf fan, and they showed extraordinary power. As soon as they appeared, the golden light gathered in front of him into two golden dragons, which circled and rushed towards Sudong. Puff puff puff. All the finger forces that Sudong had stimulated were defeated by the golden dragon. Spear. Sudong shouted in a low voice. A young man in the crowd carried a pitch black spear on his back, which flew into the sky and flew into Sudong's palm. Sky breaking style. Sudong instantly swung his spear and used his spear skills. The area within a few dozen feet around him was suddenly completely shrouded in a pitch black spear shadow, and one after another, the spear shadows hit the two golden dragons fiercely. Demon breaking spear technique. It's the demon breaking spear technique of our ancestors. Immediately, a group of clan elders were in an uproar. They were very familiar with this spear technique, which was the most widely spread demon breaking spear technique by the Chu clan's ancestors. No, that's not right. How can the demon breaking spear be so strong? This spear technique is 100 times more exquisite than the demon breaking spear. A group of younger generations couldn't understand. But Chu Boyang, like him, naturally had a clear vision. It's the demon breaking spear, the demon breaking spear of our ancestors. To be able to practice the demon breaking spear to this level, to master the way of the spear. If the ancestors knew about this, Chu Boyang was surprised and happy. That was his son on the stage. I came back to avenge my father this time. How could I lose to Chu Xianfeng? Chu Xiangkang roared anxiously in his heart. He had been away for 10 years, practicing for nothing else, just hoping to defeat Chu Boyang fair and square one day, to vent his father's anger. But now, let alone Chu Boyang, he couldn't even defeat Chu Xianfeng. No, he was unwilling. He wants to win. He wants to win. Crazy dragon hand. Chu Xiangkang's aura suddenly exploded. He was originally a genius of this generation in Shillong Mountain. In addition, he practiced in Shillong Mountain for more than 10 years and put all his efforts every day, not daring to slack off. More than 10 years of accumulation exploded at this moment. Crazy dragon hand, the unique secret skill of the Lord of Shillong Mountain, can be ranked among the top secret skills in the scope of the ancient dragon country. It exploded instantly. Chu Xiangkang's entire palm was covered with golden light, and he grabbed forward instantly. Even the arena was torn into cracks and gullies by the turbulent airflow. Breakthrough? Sudong's eyes narrowed. 9-9 Demon Breaker. Sudong also exploded, and the 9-9 Demon Breaker spear was instantly used to the extreme. The terrifying gun shadow was like a black dragon, dancing wildly to meet it. Chapter 620, Fame. The spear shadow was like a dragon, roaring and crisscrossing. Under Sudong's powerful control, it completely exploded, and the 9-9 demon breaking spear's power was pushed to the extreme. The surrounding space was completely locked and controlled. Of course, this was just the spear shadow. The really scary thing was the spear in Sudong's hand. Boom. Sudong waved the spear, and his body seemed to become a part of the spear. He rushed out violently, as fast as thunder, and arrived in front of Chu Xiangkang in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the hazy spear shadow that looked like a dragon out of the sea slashed down in an instant. Although the slash was still spear technique, Sudong's strongest point was the sword technique, and he unknowingly brought a hint of the mystery of the sword technique. HMPH. Chu Xiangkang's palm shone with golden light, and he slapped out with one palm, turning the hazy spear shadows around into bubbles. Then the golden palm print was slapped out heavily. At this moment, he also exploded. The secret technique of the crazy dragon hand was a unique skill of Shillong Mountain. With one palm swing, the power surged. He was full of confidence. Bang bang bang. The palm print collided with the spear. The airflow was disrupted, and even the airwaves several feet away from the ring could feel the impact of the powerful collision. Chu Xiangkang's palm could easily break a small mountain, but when it collided with Sudong's spear, he felt his entire palm slightly numb and his arm stiffened. What a strong power. Chu Xiangkang's face changed slightly. Sudong also instantly put away his spear and stepped back, looking at Chu Xiangkang in front of him. Cracks appeared on the spear in his hand, as if it would break at any time. The two figures separated. As soon as they touched, Sudong took a step back, and Chu Xiangkang did not move at all. The two looked at each other. This Chu Xiangkang has a very deep foundation. He suddenly broke out. It should be a temporary breakthrough. Once he broke through, I was not his opponent. Sudong sighed secretly. This Chu Xianfeng's foundation was too weak. After all, it was not his divine body in the past. With the same level of skills, he could feel the gap. As soon as he broke out, he just sighed. His face remained calm. Instead, he hoped that Chu Xiangkang would break out more and more, so that he could feel more of the mysteries of Taoism. Chu Xiangkang looked at his opponent in great surprise. Before, his finger technique was also performed with spear technique. His spear technique is extremely advanced, not inferior to my palm technique. I was able to hold on until the secret technique broke through. It was just because Chu Xianfeng didn't take it seriously at the beginning. Now that he is serious, his true strength has exploded. My palm technique collides with his spear technique. His spear technique is orderly and fully controlled, but my palm technique is a bit flustered. Although Chu Xiangkang was unwilling to admit it, he had an extraordinary character. When he left home to learn martial arts, when he was a teenager, he had already polished his will to be very firm. After the initial anger and shock, he quickly calmed down. I can have the upper hand, because my pair of magic gloves are extraordinary, and I have practiced for a few more years than him. In a real comparison, I'm not as good as him. Chu Xiangkang silently withdrew his momentum. He looked at Chu Xianfeng in front of him. The meaning in his eyes was hard to understand. Everyone says you are a playboy, but I didn't expect you to be so talented. Chu Boyang gave birth to a good son. Chu Xiangkang spoke, and his voice boomed throughout the city. Your marksmanship is great, and your potential is even greater. I lose. After saying that, Chu Xiangkang didn't even look at Chu Boyang, turned around and jumped off the ring. He strode away. Brother Chu. Shi Zhuo hurriedly followed him. Before leaving, she glared at Sudong. Give up. Sudong was slightly stunned, looking at Chu Xiangkang's back, but then he understood that this young man had a firm mind and had no intention of killing him. He realized his own shortcomings and just gave up. For Chu Xiangkang, setbacks and failures will not make him decadent. It will only make him stronger. He's a good seedling. Sudong sighed in his heart. Then he also walked down the Dengwente. Chu Boyang and Nangang Yan had already excitedly greeted him. These two people are the two closest to Chu Xianfeng. They are most excited when Chu Xianfeng shines. Especially Chu Boyang. His son shines. How can he not be proud as a father? Young master. Nangang Yan stood respectfully beside Sudong. Carefully he straightened the wrinkles on the corners of Sudong's clothes. Come on, follow me to see the ancestor. Chu Boyang pulled Sudong and left. Many members of the Chu family, men and women, did not dare to stop him, but some of them could not help but stare at Sudong with burning eyes. In the eyes of many members of the Chu family, Chu Xiangqiang had returned from his studies, and in terms of strength, he was comparable to some of the old guys among them. Even the clan leader Chu Boyang was afraid that he was inferior to him, but he met Chu Xianfeng. The last collision just now let them thoroughly understand what kind of power these two young people have. Xianfeng is only 17 years old this year, right? At the age of 17, with such strength, his future achievements are limitless. Xiangqiang should have won in the end, but he admitted defeat. Xiangqiang doesn't want to bully the weak. Some people supported Chu Xiangqiang in their hearts. Some supported Chu Xianfeng. What do you think? Did Chu Xianfeng really read through the Taoist canon and attain enlightenment in one day? I didn't believe it before. Now, I still don't believe it. Everyone is not stupid. Reading through hundreds of books, one can attain enlightenment in one day. That is a legend among legends. This book has been updated recently in @ update. Of course, we cannot completely disbelieve it. It is just theoretically speaking that Chu Xianfeng has such an outburst. There are two possibilities. One is that it is really as he said. Reading through hundreds of books, one can attain enlightenment in one day. This possibility is very small, almost equivalent to nonsense. The second possibility is that Chu Xianfeng's past dandyism was simply pretended. He actually has a very high talent for cultivation, even higher than Chu Xianhong, but it was because of his temperament that he went astray. Now that his father is in trouble, he has an outburst. Besides, although Chu Xianfeng is young, he is studying at Linghe Academy and likes to walk around. He has been to many places. As the saying goes, reading thousands of books is not as good as traveling thousands of miles. Maybe Chu Xianfeng met some masters outside who gave him advice. This is all possible. Everyone has his own opportunities, and we cannot envy them. In short, in this battle, Chu Xianfeng, the dandy, has established his reputation in the clan. Many beauties who looked down on him, or even annoyed him in the past could not help but be moved again. Of course, it was just a heartbeat. Which girl doesn't have spring in her heart? But thinking about Sudong's flirtatious nature, it's better to stay away from him. After leaving the city, Chu Boyang brought Sudong and Nangang Yan to the place where the Chu ancestor was in seclusion. It was in a cave in the mountains. The mountains were completely transformed into gardens, which were very deserted. Boyang, an old man, walked out of the garden. "Third uncle, I come to see the ancestor." Chu Boyang saluted respectfully. "What's the matter?" The old man's face was calm. Sudong stood aside silently. He also wanted to see the ancestor of the Chu family. The saintly realm is considered a small master in this world. It's Fenja. Fenja's strength has greatly improved. Not only has he achieved success in the magic breaking spear technique, but his skills have also reached the Mahayan realm, so he came to see the ancestor. Chu Boyang said. "Xianfeng?" The old man looked at Sudong in surprise. He only remembered Chu Xianhong and Chu Xianqing in the past. This Chu Xianfeng didn't seem to have much talent. The ancestor is in retreat, so don't disturb him. Xianfeng has achieved so much, so he should continue to work hard. I will give the ancestor a magic pill and a howling wind spear. The old man waved his hand. A delicate small box and a silver spear flew out of his sleeve. Sudong stretched out his hand to take it. "Hurry up and thank third uncle." Chu Boyang showed a happy look on his face. "Thank you, third uncle." Sudong also bowed. There are also magic weapons and artifacts in this world. Of course, magic weapons like artifacts are owned by the top Xianqi and the strong who break through the world. It is very difficult for ordinary people to get magic weapons. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 621. You are in the realm of breaking the realm. On the way back from the place where the ancestor had been in seclusion, Chu Boyang sighed that if the ancestor could see Sudong, the reward would be even higher. I have been the clan leader for many years, and I know that the ancestor has always been eager for the family to have a genius who has made great achievements in the devil breaking spear. Chu Boyong sighed. It was precisely because of this that he was extremely excited when he saw Sudong performing the devil breaking spear. Sudong also understood that the Chu ancestor was probably also stuck in the spear technique. At his level, naturally, he understood that learning the technique blindly was narrow-minded, and he must learn to integrate his own feelings. Only by bringing forth something new and discarding the old can he go to the next level. The Chu ancestor himself has limited progress. If a younger generation can figure out the way to spear technique, it will also be of great help to him. Back in the mansion, Chu Boyong pulled Sudong to drink happily. This was his happiest day in the past 10 years. Fenja, your father has never been so happy since he became the clan leader. Really, haha. Chu Boyong was a little drunk after drinking. Sudong just drank with his father silently. Late at night, Nangang Yan sat with Sudong in the room with a loving look on her face. She had already been married to Chu Xianfeng, so she naturally did not shy away from it. Jaina, you go to sleep first. Sudong waved his hand casually. The silver spear appeared in his hand. This Xianfeng spear is considered a magic weapon, but it is also very crude. Sudong walked to the yard with the spear to practice spear skills. Although Nangang Yan was a little disappointed and sad, she could only wait silently in the room. But she was also quite confused. First, she wondered when her son would practice so diligently, and second, she was surprised. In the past, her son would go to the fireworks place in the city to spend the night after returning, but he didn't go out tonight. It was a good sign. Thinking of this, she was a little happy again. Silently cutting the candle wick in the room, Sudong was thinking about the spear skills in the yard while comprehending the world's Taoism. He came to this world to seek a breakthrough, so he naturally seized every minute and every second. The hint of the spear art contained in this spear skill is indeed similar to his Xian Weishan swordsmanship. The night was cold. Sudong was practicing Taoism in the courtyard, and suddenly his heart moved. A flash of light suddenly flashed in the night. It was a willow leaf magic needle that instantly shot towards the back of his head. HMPH. Sudong snorted coldly and casually waved the spear in his hand. The tip of the spear drew an arc and easily touched the magic needle. The magic needle flew away, but then two more needle shadows suddenly broke through the night. One directly attacked his right arm, and the other stabbed into the room where Nangang Yan was under the window, looking for death. Sudong's face suddenly turned cold. Then the spear in his hand swept horizontally, and Sudong's body skills suddenly appeared. His body was instantly divided into two, and he suddenly appeared in the courtyard like two phantoms, blocking the two magic needles at an incredible speed. Then he turned his hand and poked the tip of the spear towards the night sky. Unlike the sneak attack by the master of the magic needle, Sudong's poke contained the domineering spear intent of the 9-9 demon breaking spear, which directly pierced through the night. The spear came out like a dragon, and the divine power flashed. Ah! A cry of pain was heard in the night, followed by blood flowers falling, and a beautiful figure fell in the night, with a look of shock on her pretty face. Sudong looked at the ground in fear. Chua. A figure shot over in an instant. The figure caught the beautiful figure with a face full of anxiety, and it was Chu Xiankang. And the beautiful figure hidden in the night was Shijua. Young master. Nangang Yan also heard the movement, and hurried out of the room. At a glance, she saw Sudong in the yard, as well as Chu Xiankang and Shijua, who also fell to the ground. Young master Xiankang. Nangang Yan also saluted Chu Xiankang. Chua. Chu Xiankang glanced at the girl in his arms, and saw that the latter had a wound on her arm, and immediately frowned, with murderous intent rising. But after seeing the three magic needles falling on the ground, one of which was still shot into the room, he shook his head again. Let's go. Knowing that he was in the wrong, he naturally had nothing to say. Humph, go? What do you think this place is? Come as you please. Leave as you please? Sudong sneered. Shijua was also a ruthless person. In order to distract him, she actually attacked Nangang Yan. If it weren't for his strong enough strength, Nangang Yan would have suffered. How could he let it go like this? Chu Xianfeng, I gave in, because I thought you had some talent. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Chu Xiankang was also angry. Shijua came quietly to Chu Xianfeng for him and wanted to vent her anger. Now that she was injured, he was heartbroken. This Chu Xianfeng still spoke arrogantly. Suppress. Chu Xiankang responded with a palm. Because they had fought each other during the day and knew the opponent's strength, he directly exerted all his strength in this palm. The golden light on his palm shone brightly, and the secret technique of the crazy dragon hand was exerted. The power was naturally fierce and unmatched. But Su Dong sneered. With a casual wave of his hand, a blade light appeared out of thin air. The blade light was pitch black. It easily tore through the air and space. The naked eye could see the distorted fragments of the Dao Yun lore after the space was torn apart. Sure, the blade light was too fast. There was no time to block it. It directly broke through the palm power in front and split all obstacles. This blade light. Chu Xiankang was shocked when he saw the pitch black blade light. This power was much stronger than the gun method during the day, and much more terrifying. Of course, this was the Xian Weishan sword method known as the best in the void. Seeing the distorted space again. Break through space, break through the boundary? Chu Xiankang was completely stunned. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. The space in this world is very stable. Legend has it that only when the power reaches a level of breaking the boundary can the space be broken. This Chu Xianfeng broke through the world space with a blade light. Puff. The pitch black blade light passed by in an instant, brushing Chu Xiankang's cheek, and then disappeared into the night, leaving a blood mark on his cheek. But Chu Xiankang stared at Su Dong in front of him with wide eyes. Are you a strong man in the realm of breaking boundaries? He was shocked. Too shocked. The realm of breaking boundaries, that is the pinnacle of existence in this world. Breaking boundaries, isn't it the power of the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor? My swordsmanship level has long surpassed the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor. Su Dong thought to himself, but his understanding of the way of death was still a little lacking. A little girl, cruel and ruthless, deserves to be punished. Chu Xiankang, if you hadn't used a magic weapon to perform that palm, my sword would not have just brushed your face. Su Dong snorted coldly. Chu Xiankang and Shijua were both stunned. This was equivalent to admitting it. Nangang Yan was a little dazed. Her son seemed to be powerful and a little scary. Yes, I was wrong. It has nothing to do with Brother Chu. I shouldn't have attacked this sister, let alone offend the senior. The junior deserves to die. Please spare Brother Chu for the sake of the Chu family. Shijua was terrified and quickly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Too scary. Breaking realm. Her father Shilong, who opened up Shilong Mountain, was only at the Xian Qi level, but the one in front of him was at the breaking realm and could easily destroy her Shilong Mountain. No, it was all because of me, and it had nothing to do with you. Chu Xiankang also knelt on the ground. What Chu family? What affection? Everything is illusory in front of absolute strength. Strength is everything. Their hearts were trembling. Chu Xianfeng. Was he actually a strong man at the breaking realm? They had never thought that they would meet such a strong man in their lifetime. Okay, you guys go. Remember not to be too cruel in the future, or you might lose your life. Su Dong snorted coldly and waved his hand. The two of them did have a reason, and he was too lazy to say more. Yes. Yes. Chu Xiankang quickly picked up Shiyue, not daring to look back, and turned and disappeared into the night. Only Nangang Yan was left looking at the young man in front of him in a daze. Su Dong glanced at her. The two looked at each other, and Nangang Yan quickly lowered her head. The next day, news spread from the Chu clan that Chu Xiankang and Shiyue had left on a crane again. It was said that they had come to pay their respects to Chu Boyang before leaving, which made many clan members side the clan leader's tyrannical methods. In fact, Chu Boyang himself was confused. Danqi needs to plan the plot carefully, so there will be only 2 updates today. Chapter 622 Xianan Mountain. Chu Boyang didn't know that Chu Xiankang and Shijua were frightened by Su Dong. Breaking the realm is an extreme. In this world, the cultivation world is considered a super strong and powerful crocodile. The meaning it represents is too great. The two rode on cranes, flying thousands of miles away from the Chu family. Only then did they take a short break. They stopped in a temple on a mountain. This Chu Xianfeng is too cruel. Others think he is a playboy, but in fact he is in the breaking realm. Breaking the realm, I can't imagine it. The ruler of the ancient Shenlong country is only at this level. Shijua's eyes were filled with fear and shock. She actually wanted to teach a breaking realm a lesson. She was simply asking for her life. Chu Xiangang's face was uncertain, standing in the temple. Brother Chu, what are you thinking about? Shijua asked in a low voice. I'm thinking about Chu Xianfeng. Even if he realizes the truth one day, even if he hides and keeps a low profile, can he break the realm? Chu Xiangang shook his head slightly. No matter how talented or evil he is, it's impossible that this group of outrageous swordsmanship has reached the level of breaking the boundary. His own realm should only be the top of the Mahayana. Chu Xiangang analyzed. After all, he had fought with Sudong before, so he could feel it more clearly. Shijua blinked. She just felt that Sudong's strength made them tremble, but she didn't think so much. Chu Xiangang was different. Chu Xiangang was tough, experienced a lot, and naturally thought more. His eyes looked at the sea of clouds outside the temple. The sea of clouds was calm, but his heart was turbulent. His skills have reached the level of breaking the boundary. He is also a top powerhouse, but his own divine body is average. His skills are only at the top of the Mahayana. There is a great possibility that he was possessed by a superpowerhouse. The method of possessing a body, the strong possessing the body of the weak, is extremely domineering. It is rarely seen, and most of them are legends. But at this moment, Chu Xiangang had to think of this. I heard that he came back this time because he was beaten and seriously injured. Was he possessed this time? Chu Xiangang said silently. If he had possessed a body before, with his current strength, how could he be injured? Of course, this was just his guess, and it was also the most reasonable guess. The only strange thing was that he didn't understand why a strong man who had reached the level of breaking the realm would take over the body of a playboy. Thinking of this, thinking about what Chu Xianfeng said, enlightenment in one day, is it really possible? Blessed by nature, not dying from serious injuries, but soaring into the sky. Chu Xiangang couldn't figure it out, and could only be shocked in his heart. The cultivation world is full of crises, and there are too many mysterious and unpredictable things and even strong people. Many things are bizarre and unimaginable. But he only knows one thing, that is, the current Chu Xianfeng is absolutely the strongest in this side. As long as he wants, he can easily use the sword technique of breaking the realm to destroy the Chu family directly. No one can stop it. That Chu Xianfeng, he also fought for Chu Boyang. He obviously has a deep affection for him. Jua offended him, and I didn't dare to provoke him. He didn't kill her, and didn't make things difficult for her. I can see that he is quite broad-minded. I also told my father that he must not provoke Chu Xianfeng. I can't interfere with anything else. Chu Xiangang is a wise man. No matter what state Chu Xianfeng is in now, in front of absolute strength, the only thing he can do is stay away from all. This world is ultimately a world of the strong. This time when I return to Shillong Mountain, I must make my palm method go further. Chu Xiangang clenched his palm tightly. His character is extremely tough. The more he is frustrated, the more courageous he is. Fear can't make him retreat. It will only inspire him to become stronger. Young master. A gentle voice sounded in Sudong's room. Nangang Yan was dressed in white, holding a delicious breakfast in her hand. She gently pushed open the door. Sudong sat cross-legged on the bed, opened his eyes, and saw Nangang Yan, and couldn't help but smile. Young master, this is your favorite cake. A gleam of light flashed in Nangang Yan's eyes. In the past, when she served Chu Xianfeng rarely smiled, but now he was smiling, which was rare. Sudong took the cake, took a bite, and nodded with satisfaction. Jaina. Sudong smiled and said, don't you have anything to ask? He claimed to have realized the truth in one day, but showing the strength of breaking the realm was still too amazing. Isn't Nangang Yan curious? I'm the young master's woman, and I only know to serve the young master well. Nangang Yan said. Sudong was speechless after hearing this. Nangang Yan was really devoted to Chu Xianfeng, and she was smart and cautious in her heart. Chu Xianfeng could feel Nangang Yan's affection in his memory, but Chu Xianfeng owed her a lot. He went through this life He couldn't make up for Nangang Yan in love, but could only make up for it in other aspects. I remember, Jaina, you have a talent for swordsmanship, but you just didn't realize the truth, so you gave up later, right? Sudong asked. Yes. Nangang Yan naturally said what she meant under Sudong's gaze. Although she was not as wealthy as Chu Xianfeng, she was also a girl from a wealthy family. Naturally, she had also embarked on the path of cultivation, but due to her limited talent, she only cultivated to the Dao Sheng realm and stopped. Because she was taught by a sword master for 2 days, her sword skills were quite unique. But later she served Chu Xianfeng. These were put aside, and Chu Xianfeng liked to write. Naturally, she focused on literature and art. Sudong nodded slightly. Let's go. Let's go out for a walk today. He stood up and put down the cakes in his hand. As for the Xianfeng gun, it was thrown into Kyankan's sleeve. Yes. Nangang Yan hurriedly followed. She was quite satisfied. In the past, the young master only brought guards when he went out, but this time he brought her. This book has been updated recently in Update. The Chu clan has very few Taoist scriptures. The big sects and schools have the most Taoist scriptures. It's useless for me to stay in the Chu clan. Sudong took Nangang Yan with him. They walked out of the mansion, each riding a horse, and left the Chu clan without any guards. This world is quite high level. As long as you practice a little, flying in the air is not a difficult thing. But continuous flying requires extremely high skills. The top Mahayana, flying in the air can only last for a moment. Although Nangang Yan was puzzled about where Sudong was going, she knew Sudong's strength and didn't ask much. She just followed him silently. Not long after, Sudong brought Nangang Yan to a mountain road. The scenery ahead was majestic and magnificent. This is the road to Cheyenne Mountain. Nangang Yan recognized it. Before leaving, take care of the small fish and shrimps in Cheyenne Mountain for your father. Sudong's face was calm. Not only was he helping Chu Boyang, Sudong himself had no good feelings towards these robbers. Cheyenne Mountain is steep, with a small road between 2 mountains. If you want to go to some big cities in the north, you must take this road. If you don't take this road, you have to bypass 2 mountains. The 2 mountains cover more than 1,000 miles. People who are practicing can't fly over. It is said that there are mountain bandits everywhere in Cheyenne Mountain. They are all doing murder and robbery. As soon as the 2 young men Sudong and Nangang Yan walked into the mountain road, they were immediately discovered by the spies hidden in the dark, and the news was immediately sent to many strong men in the mountain. In Cheyenne Mountain, the most popular gang now is the Xianhu Gang. The village of the Xianhu Gang is located in a treasure land in Cheyenne Mountain. Taking root here, various forces swallowed up each other, and naturally it was very chaotic. Brother Luo-san, on this Shenlong book, your Tu Feng knife is ranked 108th. Haha, it's above the Chu family's ancestors' demon-breaking spear. In this village, many figures sat around, eating meat and drinking wine. A beautiful woman with heavy makeup, holding a book in her hand, smiled at the middle-aged man in front of her. The middle-aged man was drinking strong liquor. His eyes were full of arrogance and wantonness. That old guy from the Chu family? Not worth mentioning. The middle-aged man smiled. Chapter 623 Xianhu Gang. We have targeted the Chu family this time, but Chu Boyang is still willing to accept it? An old man next to him laughed. The old man was white and beardless, and his eyes sometimes showed evil light, and most of them were on the beautiful woman. The woman glanced at the old man, not only without any disgust, but also seemed to enjoy the smile. Brother, Chu Boyang is a cunning person. This time we plan to kill him and avenge our young master, but who would have thought that he would still escape? Fourth sister, don't worry, since the Chu family has offended the young master, we will naturally avenge him. A burly man laughed. Second brother, you said it easily. I'm afraid you will never find such a good opportunity again. The woman smiled sadly. They ate, drank and talked. Suddenly, a servant ran out of the door. Report to the 4 village leaders. 2 hostages came on the mountain road. 1 man and 1 woman. The woman is as beautiful as a fairy. The man is also dressed extraordinary. The servant was reporting, but he also had a playful look on his face. The bandits in the mountain village have their own origins. when they get together, naturally there are not so many rules. Oh, is there such a good thing? Hearing that the woman is as beautiful as a fairy, the evil light in the eyes of the old man called the second brother became even brighter, and he looked at the servant greedily. A man and a woman. No guards. The third brother Luo at the top spoke. There is such meat delivered? Could it be a strong man? The fourth sister asked. Are there people from other villages who have taken action? The burly man called the second brother also asked. He, the second in command, knows that there is good meat now. Our Cheyenne gang will not ask for it. Who else dares to move the chopsticks? The servant laughed. Immediately, the four village leaders looked at each other and laughed. Yes, nowadays, the Cheyenne gang in Cheyenne is the biggest tiger. According to the rules, they naturally eat the best meat and do the biggest business. Don't think too much. They are probably young people from some academy or family. They don't have much experience and just happened to pass by here. The elder brother with a white face and no beard stood up directly, his eyes shining with evil. I will go and tie up the man and the woman. TSK, I haven't played with serious stuff for a long time. I'll go with the elder brother. The burly second brother also stood up. Only the fourth sister glanced at them, lacking interest. You beasts. She glanced at the elder brother with her eyes. Haha, don't worry, fourth sister. The elder brother will bring the man back and deal with you first. The two heads of the family left with their people. Only the third brother Luo and the fourth sister, who was laughing and crying, were left in the room. At this moment, the whole village on the edge of Cheyenne Mountain was in turmoil. The strong men of the heads of the family came out one by one. Some were fierce and ferocious, some were dressed in a gentle manner, and some were weird, wearing Taoist robes, holding Buddhist beads, and had ferocious beast tattoos on their chests. They all received the news. They were all standing on the cliff, looking at the man and woman riding slowly on the mountain road. Look below. What a good looking thing. Everyone stared at Nangang Yan like a wolf. Look, the two leaders of the Cheyenne gang are here. Suddenly, the crowd was quiet. They all looked at the middle of the mountain road. It's the first and second leaders. Many bandits, some unwilling, some helpless. Among the four leaders of the Cheyenne gang, these two are the most lustful. It's over. The girl fell into the hands of the old demon, the tiger, and I'm afraid she won't survive tonight. Sudong and Nangang Yan drove side by side. Suddenly, a group of figures emerged from the weeds in front. Young master. Nangang Yan was a little frightened. These bandits were all ferocious and stared at her like wolves. Who are you? Why are you blocking my way? Sudong also pretended to change his face. He shouted to the front. Just a blink of an eye. Hundreds of figures flashed, blocking the entire mountain road, front and back. There were both strong and weak among them. Most of them were at the foundation building stage and the Dao Sheng stage, and a few of them had reached the Sankei stage. As for the two in the front, they were naturally masters of the Mahayana stage. In these places, the top Mahayana masters are indeed first-class masters. Sudong sighed secretly. He hoped that a top master would fight with him, so that he could feel the mystery of Taoism. These rubbish. I can't arouse any interest at all. They are just about the same. I also hope to be at the same level as Chu Xiangkang. Haha. She is so beautiful. This time I can copy her. The eldest brother, the old demon Hu, looked at Nangang Yan and laughed loudly. He held a tiger head steel knife in his hand, and there was still blood on the blade. He pointed at Sudong with a bloodthirsty breath. He was too lazy to say more to Sudong. Tie this guy up for me, and don't touch that woman. I'm going to carry her back to the mountain myself, he said as he strode towards Nangang Yan. The other big men sneered and walked towards Sudong. More figures just stood there laughing hideously. Sudong sighed. I wanted to pretend with you for a while, but since we can't get along, let's die. This book has been updated recently in @ Update. He came here to sweep Cheyenne Mountain this time. He wanted to get some words out of them, but the other party was just a group of hungry wolves. How can you communicate with a group of hungry wolves? As soon as he finished speaking, he shook his long sleeves and a long spear appeared. Boom. The tip of the spear was swung forward and swept across the 5 big men in front. The 5 big men didn't react. The body exploded instantly from the chest up, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. Deader than dead. This kid is a martial artist. All the people in the Xianhu gang around them became nervous. The big boss, Hu, and the second boss who strode out, stared with their eyes wide open like bells. Mahayana realm. As soon as Sudong used his spear skills, the aura of his power could not be concealed. This kid is hiding very well, but unfortunately he still doesn't have enough experience. If you hide for a while longer, maybe you can escape. Now, Hu stared with evil eyes, but he had just finished speaking. Boom. Sudong shot out instantly. The moment the spear shadow was swung out, the airflow stirred like a dark dragon shadow galloping, and it directly pierced in front of Hu. Sudong's spear skills were too fast. The power was too strong. Hu had no time to block it. He had a lot of power, but he had no time to use it. Sudong's spear shadow went straight through Hu's chest. It was directly pierced through. The tip of the gun pierced the heart of the Hu's chest, and then Sudong put away the gun. Why? Hu stared at the young figure in front of him with wide eyes in astonishment. He had killed countless people in his life, licked blood on the blade, raped and plundered, and committed all kinds of evil. He thought he would die, but he never thought he would die like this. Bang! Hu's body fell on the mountain road, splashing a cloud of dust. The leader of the Xianhu gang, Hu is dead. It's over. I met a tough guy. Manghu, the second in command of the Xianhu gang, watched his eldest brother being pierced through by a gun. He also felt his hands and feet were cold. This kid is a master. Quick, go and inform the third brother. Let the third brother come. Manghu retreated in panic, shouting as he retreated. We are the Xianhu gang. We are going to kill you. The Xianhu gang. Sudong sneered. He swung the spear in his hand again, and used the 9-9 demon breaking spear. His figure also flew out from the horse's back in an instant, and in a flash, he appeared in front of the tiger. The tiger's weapon was a pair of double axes, and at this moment, he waved the axes in his hands with a ferocious look on his face. Not in the right state. 3 more updates tomorrow. Chapter 624, Fierce Battle to Reach Sainthood. While resisting and retreating, the second in command of Manghu felt even more bitter. Fourth sister is right. This guy is a master. He was living on the edge of a knife, used to killing people, and had thought about how he would die after killing many people. In fact, the more he thought about it, the more afraid he was. Die. Sudong's gun skills were domineering. His figure was blurred, and he fired several shots in an instant. When the gun was fired, a dark dragon shadow condensed in the space, and the sharp gun tip knocked the double axe in Manghu's hand away in 2 strokes. The difference in skills was too big. Mercy, mercy, Manghu cried out urgently. But the gun tip in Sudong's hand flashed, and it pierced directly into Manghu's chest. The latter's eyes glared. Then he died, and fell to the ground. Retreat quickly. The 2 leaders died in one encounter. Let's retreat quickly. The members of the Xianhu gang gathered around were all terrified, and fled for their lives. After retreating back to the weeds, they didn't dare to take a step forward. What a powerful spearmanship. How come this spearmanship is so similar to the Chu family's devil-breaking spearmanship? The many gangs standing on the mountain wall and watching from afar were all dumbfounded. Some were secretly lucky that they didn't make a move, otherwise they would be the ones in trouble. Among these people, some experienced old men recognized the spearmanship used by Sudong. The Chu family's devil-breaking spear. This young man is from the Chu family. I have seen Chu family masters use spearmanship before, but none of them are this powerful. One figure after another was stunned. The Chu family is a big family, and Cheyenne and Mountain used to give way to the Chu family. They were originally afraid of the strong people from this big family, but since the Xianhu gang emerged, Cheyenne and Mountain dared not to take the Chu family seriously. Look, Luo who is here. Master Luo-san. The figures of the various gangs all looked at each other. Luo who, nicknamed Sanhu, is the real strongest man in the Xianhu gang. He has the power of becoming a saint, and is famous for his two-fang knife. The sword technique is ranked 1808th in the Shenlong book. The two-fang sword is a fast sword, so fast that, even if the strength is similar, the fast sword can take the initiative. Many strong men died under his sword, before they had time to use their skills. It is extremely terrifying. Big brother, second brother. Luohu's figure flashed and fell to the foot of the mountain. He immediately saw the two bodies of Huhu and Manghu lying on the ground, and his anger surged. You deserve to die. He was from a wealthy family and had good talent, but later his family broke the law and was ordered to be searched by the lord of the ancient Shenlong country. All males over the age of 12 were killed. He was 13 years old that year and escaped with the desperate protection of a guard. That guard was Huhu. Because he was a fugitive, he could not enroll in any school or sect to learn skills. He could only join some underworld gangs. He had good talent, and Huhu helped him find some spiritual objects to nourish him, so he made rapid progress. Later, he had some opportunities, which really allowed him to master a sword technique. And he broke through to the Saint Realm. When he founded the Xianhu gang in Xianan Mountain, the strength of Huhu was average, about the same as Manghu, but he was respected as the leader of the gang, and he was ranked 3rd. Others were fine, but in Luohu's heart, Big Brother Huhu was like his brother, father, and even his savior. Seeing Sudan kill Huhu, he was so sad that he was going crazy. With a roar, a ghost-headed long sword appeared in his hand, and the sword light turned into a piece and slashed directly at Sudan. Saint Realm. Sudan was not surprised but happy, and a smile appeared on his face. It seems that this is a real leader behind the Xianhu gang. He is also good at swordsmanship. Well, this sword technique is average, but the killing intent is full. It is a bit like the extinction style in the 36 styles of the Yama sword. Sudan did not dodge, but went straight to meet it. Boom. The gun shadow and the sword light collided instantly. Luohu was at the sainthood level after all. When he used his swordsmanship, the entire mountain road was filled with blood and murderous aura. If the Mahayana level was considered an upper level expert, then the sainthood level was already a big shot who could open up a sect, like the Chu family's ancestor. The sainthood level had more profound skills and a higher level of understanding of the Tao. The power it exerted could not only destroy the heavens and the earth, but could also easily kill a group of Mahayana level experts. The explosion at this moment naturally frightened many gang members in Xianan Mountain. That young man is dead. Luohu's strength can easily kill him. These people stood on the cliffs of the two mountains and watched the battle from afar. Sudan's spearmanship was also extremely fast. The 9-9 demon breaking spear made the surrounding space pitch black. Only the shadows of the spears could be seen shuttling back and forth. Each shot pierced Luohu's vital point. His spearmanship was too high, and under the astonished eyes of many people, he actually fought fiercely with Luohu. This made everyone feel even more frightened. It is not uncommon to fight across levels, but they were all top disciples from big sects. How could a bunch of bandits like them have ever seen them? This young man from the Chu family is too scary. He is at the Mahayana stage, but he can fight against Luohu who is at the Saint stage. Some people were shocked. It is said that it is easy for disciples from big sects to kill enemies of higher levels. Even the sects support them to study various small techniques. The higher the level of the technique, the stronger the strength. Some people sighed. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Big sects train disciples. It is not something they can imagine at all. On the cliff, the fourth sister of the Xianhu gang was also watching from afar. Her strength was the lowest among the four gang leaders, but she represented a big man behind her. That young man performed the Chu family's devil-breaking spear technique. That young man. Why does he look so familiar to me? The fourth sister was puzzled. Then her eyes focused. Key Lion took out a piece of paper from his sleeve and opened it. There is a figure painted on it. Although his temperament is much weaker, his facial features are exactly the same as the figure below. Is it him? Chu Xianfeng? The fourth sister was shocked. He was not seriously injured by the young master. How? She was stunned. Behind her was the Black Fox gang of southern Xinjiang. The Black Fox gang had a close relationship with the Jubekin of the ancient Dragon Kingdom. The young master she was talking about was naturally the second young masterkin. It was well known that the second young masterkin had seriously injured the third young master of the Chu family, Chu Xianfeng. Chu Xianfeng was just a playboy. The fourth sister could not match the legendary playboy with the figure fighting with Luohu below. Killed the VIP tiger and the Mang tiger, and now he can fight with Luohu? Is this something a playboy can do? But no matter how weird Chu Xianfeng is, Luo, who is a saint after all, the fourth sister suppressed her surprise and watched the fight below. She was confident that with Luo, whose saintly realm strength, it should be easy to kill Sudang. But as she watched, her face changed. Why do I feel that Chu Xianfeng's spearmanship is better? Sudang used the 9-9 demon breaking spear, observing Luo, whose swordsmanship while performing it. This swordsmanship is more than ruthless, but the foundation is too poor. Blindly pursuing speed, Sudang shook his head. This Luo who practiced this swordsmanship wrong. Remember the fight with Chu Xianqiang. Although Chu Xianqiang's skills were slightly inferior, his foundation was very deep. That was really strong. Forget it, die. After Sudang studied Luo, whose swordsmanship, his face turned cold, and the spear in his hand instantly turned into a black light. 9-9 demon breaking. Not good, third brother. The fourth sister standing on the top of the mountain suddenly widened her eyes. Luo, who was trying his best to perform his swordsmanship, and he was also shocked, and then a black light flashed in front of him. He felt a pain in his neck, and then a big head flew into the sky, and blood spurted wildly. Knife. Nice skills. Luo, whose eyes widened, and the last black light flashed. That was not gun skills at all, but knife skills. He had used knives all his life. In the past, he only thought that his knife skills were fast enough, but he didn't expect that he would die from his knife skills in the end. His knife skills were so fast that he couldn't even see clearly. Chapter 625. I met him at Chunhua Tower. Luo, whose head fell to the ground, and his body also fell to the ground. Sudang's face was very calm. In Chu Xianfeng's memory, the Saint Realm was a great master, and there were many Saint Realm masters around the second Sunkin. But there are different levels of Saint Realm. In my opinion, this Saint Realm who uses a knife is not even as good as Chu Xianqiang. This is the difference in foundation. If Chu Xianqiang had become a Saint Realm, he could crush Luo with one hand. Similarly, although Sudang was in the Mahayana realm, he only used a little power of the mysterious sword technique to easily kill Luo. The gap is too big. Then Sudang's eyes swept to the surrounding mountains and cliffs. Not to mention the gang members of the Xianhu gang. They had already scattered and fled. In the whole mountain road, except for a few corpses, there were only Sudang and Nangang Yan left. On the two cliffs, there were many other gang members standing and watching the battle, and they were all terrified at this moment. Awesome. Such amazing marksmanship. This young man killed Luo by surpassing his level. His strength is comparable to that of a saint. Such a master. Is he from the Chu family? The Chu family is indeed terrifying. The gang leaders were horrified. Usually, they only feared the Chu family, and they dared not provoke them. Now they are even more afraid. Have you seen the fate of the Xianhu gang? They just attacked the Chu family a few days ago, and today they were challenged by a young man. Any young man from the Chu family is so terrifying. You can imagine their background. They were trembling. Suddenly, all gangs in Xianan Mountain, come down quickly. Sudang spoke, and his voice boomed throughout the mountains and forests. Boss, he wants to see us. If he lets us go down, will he suddenly attack us? Even Luo, who died in his hands, isn't killing us the same as killing chickens? We didn't provoke the Chu family. He shouldn't be angry with us. Many gang leaders were shocked. Let's go. We will still be in Xianan Mountain in the future. We will meet this young master. Although these gangs in Xianan Mountain are all small sects and do shameful things, there are still many of them. If we kill them, we can't kill them all. The oldest gang in Xianan Mountain is called Kingshan Gang. The leader of the gang, Tengshan, is now more than 200 years old. His skills are at the Mahayana level, and he looks like an old man in his 70s. He is quite famous among many gangs. He is the one who wants to meet Sudang. Tengshan also instructed the people around him. Go and pick the Gynoderma lucidum in the gang, and send it to young Master Yu as a gift. Other gangs followed suit. They were all the second and third in command of each gang, and there were very few serious gang leaders who went down. After all, who knows if Sudang will suddenly make a move? These cunning gang leaders naturally kept their eyes open. There were many rugged mountain roads, some of which were built by flying over eaves and walls, and they all landed in front of the mountain road. Dantian personally came out, holding a brocade box, and walking down the mountain. When they were several dozen feet away, when they got closer, they looked at Sudong, who was holding a silver spear and dressed in white. It would be a lie to say that they were not afraid. This was a ruthless man who even killed Deluohu, a strong man in the Saint Realm. I'm Dantian, the leader of the youth gang. I have seen you, young master. Liu Long, the second in command of the Flying Eagle gang, has seen you, young master. I have seen you, young master. Everyone saluted respectfully. His subordinates respectfully presented a gift to Nangang Yan. Nangang Yan glanced at Sudong, and when she saw that Sudong nodded slightly with a calm expression, she accepted them one by one and put them into Kyankan sleeves. Once she accepted them, these leaders felt much more at ease. This young master should not kill them. Let me ask you, are the people I just killed from the Xianu gang? Sudong spoke with a cold voice. There are so many bandit gangs, and before that, who did not introduce himself, so Sudong naturally did not know. Yes, that is Hu, the leader of Xianu gang, and that is Mang Hu, the second leader. This is Eluohu, the third leader. Teng Shanyin said, there is also Yu, the fourth leader, who was on the top of the mountain before, but has already slipped away now. Sudong smiled. It was the Xianu gang that had troubled Chu Boyang before, and now he has avenged his father. Sir, the Xianu gang offended the Chu family. They really deserve to be killed. Don't worry, the rest of them will be handed over to us, and we will definitely kill them all for the Chu family. Yes, there is no Xianu gang since the occupation of Xianan Mountain. The leaders saw a smile on Sudong's face and said loudly. Nangang Yan blinked and looked at these people. You guys have a grudge against the Xianu gang. The leaders didn't dare to look at Nangang Yan anymore at this moment. They just kept saying, the Xianu gang offended the Chu family and the young master, so they are our common enemy. The Xianu gang is too rampant. They should have been eliminated long ago. Nangang Yan was speechless. These gangs really have no morality to speak of. Sudong looked at them coldly. If he hadn't shown enough strength, would these leaders who were living on the edge of a knife be so flattering? Strength is the most important. Similarly, in order to become stronger and survive, these gangs were destroyed and revived, constantly emerging, and they could not be killed completely. If the Chu family could give them enough resources, they would even work for the Chu family. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. The world is like this. Sudong couldn't change it. He could only do his best to deter these people. The Xianu gang offended our Chu family, so they should be killed. You should also avoid killing innocent people in the future, otherwise I will go straight up the mountain next time I come. Sudong shouted coldly. There was a hint of knife intent in his cold shout. The gang leaders were all frightened and trembled. They responded one after another. Yes, yes, we will be more restrained in the future. Never kill innocent people indiscriminately. Sudong glanced at them. He said nothing more. Can there be no fighting and killing in the cultivation world? Impossible. I just hope that I can keep good thoughts and fear in my heart and do less killing. Let's go. After Sudong finished speaking, he took Nangang Yan away on horseback. Watching Sudong and Nangang Yan leave from a distance, the gang leaders breathed a sigh of relief. He's gone. This plague god is finally gone. They were afraid that Sudong would kill people if they disagreed with him. This is the respect of the weak for the strong. I feel like facing this young master. It's as if my life is not my own. Yeah. The Xianu gang was unlucky and was directly destroyed. Not all of them were destroyed. The Yahoo bitch escaped. Mr. Liu-san, what are you thinking about? A tall and thin man looked at his companion and asked loudly. I'm thinking. I seem to have seen that young master. I went to Chunhualao once before, and I seem to have seen him. Mr. Liu-san hesitated. He asked himself if he could see people clearly. Oh, Chunhualao? It's normal for a young master from a rich family to go there to have fun. No one was surprised. In their opinion, that place was specially opened for these young masters. Tell me quickly, which young master of the Chu family is it? Fujiyama asked hurriedly. It's young master Chu Xianfeng. Mr. Liu-san blurted out. Chu Xianfeng? Everyone was stunned. Why is this name so familiar? the fourth young master of Shenlong, that Chu Xianfeng? Someone suddenly spoke. Who hasn't heard of the third son of the Chu family, the son Chu Xianfeng, who is known for his unparalleled literary talent and his fondness for places of fireworks? That dude. Someone couldn't help but stare. But as soon as he said that, he quickly shook his head and kept quiet. Everyone looked at each other. How could a dude be able to kill a saint-level master like Luohu? Spread it out. Tell the brothers in the 2 rivers and 3 mountains to be careful of this Sun Chu. They immediately took action. To be in the underworld, you must be well informed and always know who to offend and who not to offend. The 3 chapters agreed to today will be postponed. Everyone, please forgive Danqi. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.